Holy crap.
People persist in doubting the evidence.
Don't run and hide. Don't be afraid. Don't turn away any longer. The truth will set you free.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Turning all of our antennas towards Jimmy Church.
And now, your host, the captain of conspiracy, the prince of paranormal. This ain't your daddy's radio network show. This is Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Yeah. Oh, man. How you doing? Yeah. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. That's right. Today is Monday, January 26th. It's a big day today. This is our world premiere on Game Changer Network, Spreaker. How you doing? 26 days into the new year, 339 days left. Welcome to everybody listening right now. All around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south. We are live from the truthfunders.com studios right here in downtown Burbank, California. If you have a book, an expedition, invention, or a paranormal documentary you need to get funded, go to truthfunders.com. Truth Funders, the #1 source of backing your project into the fringe. For KJCR and the Game Changer Network, I am your oh so humble host, Jimmy Church. Welcome to Big Day Today. Let's get this show cracking. Fired up. Big salute to the proud men and women in uniform all around the world in harm's way, defending our right to the Constitution, the right to freedom of speech, and this very program right here. Couple of quick notes before we get things going. Nothing changes on the podcast. Nothing changes. You can go to jimmychurchradio.com. Podcast is right there. You can subscribe. Nothing changes on YouTube. Everything stays the same. Faders.org. Become a Fader-Not today. It's free. It's fun. Go. Faders. Faders.org. Faders.org. All right. The new intro. That was cool. All right. Yes. New network, new day. But everything else is the same. The show's the same. I'm the same. The studio's the same. Hopefully, it sounds a lot better. All right. That's one of the concerns, is that as we progress through life and this show, that the audio is just amazing. So I hope right now everybody's just blown away, just like your head just spun around. Whoa. Man, does this sound good. So we should have all of the streaming solved. We have worked really hard over the last 24 hours. As we know, the announcement was made yesterday. Everybody wants to hear a statement from me. You know, I'll probably leak some stuff out tonight and talk a little bit about it. But to be honest, there's not a whole lot there. There's no strange story. I know we all want a conspiracy, don't we? We all want a good conspiracy. There isn't. The last year and a couple of months on Dark Matter were amazing. My time there was it was an honor. It was just a skyrocket. It was amazing. It was fun. And at some point in everybody's life, you need to move on and expand. And the bottom line, and there's always a bottom line in a situation like this. The bottom line is we were held back from expanding. And I'm talking about Keith and myself, both of us. And it was a frustrating situation. And we were at an impasse, and we couldn't move forward. And that's really it. All right? So today's a new day, new network. I do wish Keith and Art the best. They're going to continue to grow. Art should be back in July. And internet radio will change on that day when Art Bell comes back. But thank you, Keith. Thank you, Art, for allowing me to sit in for the last year. The friendships that we have made, not only with Dark Matter and all of the shows there at Dark Matter, but the Fate or Not family. I want to say right now, I want to take a minute and just say thank you so much. Without the audience and the Fate or Nots, that's where the success is. Without that, we are nothing. Okay? I am humbled by the experience, but now, today is a new day. Today's a new day. Let's move forward. Let's get this show cracking. Ho-ho. The expanded audience that we are going to have through Spreaker and iHeartRadio. Our TuneIn family will still be there. TalkStream Live will be brought online too. Okay, so whatever your avenue of listening to the show. Now, you're listening to me now, but maybe on a podcast or a repeat, I want you to understand the people that aren't necessarily tuning in right now to the live show. You can go to jimmychurchradio.com. You can listen to the stream there. You can also go over to Spreaker and listen to the stream there. TuneIn will be brought online tomorrow, and baby steps, but we should have everything up and running in about 24 hours. But I think tonight we're good. And I'm looking over here at Twitter. By the way, follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. All the links are there at Spreaker. They're at jimmychurchradio.com. You can follow us at JChurchRadio. The new sandbox is hashtag F2B. Fade to black. Hashtag F2B. That's the new sandbox. Let's light that up tonight. Oh, I'm just so fired up. It's a great day. All right, what did I leave out before we move on? Oh, email, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Simple enough. Any comments? Any criticisms? Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Just make it good. You got a question? Make it good. Just get it past the producers. You know what to do. And I'll probably write back. All right, let's go. I'm ready. Now, I'm going to look over here at Twitter really quick. I know that we're running on a little bit longer of a delay, so I will wait for the responses. But how does it sound? It should sound amazing. Just tell me it sounds great. Okay, let's go. Today, the man who changed rock guitar forever, Eddie Van Halen, is 60 years old. Christopher Massey is 25. He actually does a commercial here for us. Maybe we'll run that tonight, him and his brother, Kyle. Actor Bob Uecker. I didn't know. Is he an actor? Is he a baseball player? Did he really play baseball? Is he more of an announcer? Is he a sportscaster? Bob Uecker today is 80 years old. Cinderella frontman Tom Kiefer, 54. Our dead guy's birthday today is actor Paul Newman. 1925 to 2008, won an Oscar for his role of The Color of Money. Appeared in 67 films, including Exodus, The Hustler, HUD, Harper, Ombre, Cool Hand Luke, The Towering Inferno, Slapshot, The Verdict, of course, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and my favorite, The Sting. But, you know, that's not the part of Paul Newman that blew me away. He was a serious race car driver. I think he considered himself more of a race car driver than he was an actor. And he drove in the 24-hour Le Mans in 1979. All right, let's light it up. Let's go. Let's light it up on Twitter really quick. My favorite subject, so let's just do this before we get to James Gilliland. He'll be with us at the bottom of the hour. The best Van Halen song. What's your favorite? When you think of Van Halen, what's it? What's that cut? What's your favorite Van Halen album? Everybody that listens to this show knows. For me, it's Van Halen too. But I had to think about my favorite Van Halen song. And I went with On Fire. Twitter, @JChurchRadio. Facebook is JimmyChurchRadio.com. YouTube, everything is Fade to Black. You can go, link, follow, like, subscribe. Everything's on the website. Tonight we have guest James Gilliland, ECETI. Tonight we'll be talking about ECETI, the Anunnaki and Archons and everything that he's involved with right now and his institute. We'll be talking about that tonight. Also, we will be taking calls, 323-825-5045. Before the break, last night as we got the word that we were changing networks, we had to get everything up and running. A lot of work. It caught us by surprise. And we thought we were going to go live next week. We didn't know it was going to be tonight. And we went live with a test broadcast last night at 1 o'clock in the morning here in Burbank on the West Coast. And I jumped on, and it was really funny because after we made the announcements yesterday, everybody, all of you Fadernauts are out there snooping around, and found out that we were testing the audio last night on Spreaker. And you guys had the ability to go in and listen. Light Up the Sky from Spiritual Warrior. That's a cut. And I almost went there, by the way. I did. Dance the Night Away from Patrick Flynn. That, you know what? I almost went there, too. Oh, tough. That's good stuff. And we went live last night, and we ended up, I actually took phone calls at 1:30 in the morning. You guys were up and listening and goofing around at 1:30 in the morning all the way across the country. And we had literally, on something that was supposed to be secret, we had like 500 people listening last night. How does that work when it was top secret? Interesting. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. And so we're going to leave that up. It turned out to be a lot of fun with Les and Joe and Mark talking last night. So I think we're going to podcast that thing. It was too much fun. So anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I decided we're going to go ahead and leave that up. A lot of really cool reactions from everybody on the Secret Test podcast. With that, this is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network, Spreaker, iHeartRadio in a day. Baby steps. Are you guys ready? Let's do this. Yeah, Skype's the same, Donna. Everything's the same. Even this show. I'll be back right after this. Do not touch that mouse.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Oh, yeah. Stereo. It's a new thing. It's going to be huge. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Bottom of the hour. James Gilliland will be with us. ECETI. Excited. This is our premier show. Game Changer Network tonight. Let's get to the news that, well, you might know something about. Go home. Stay there. Seriously. Well, that's the message government officials across the Northeast offered residents all day today ahead of what could be the blizzard of historic proportions, bearing down on New York City and the entire region. I'm quoting here. This is from New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. He says, "It is no joke to have people stranded on a highway. We've gone through that before. It is frightening how quickly a simple trip to the supermarket can wind up being very dangerous. Public transportation is going to be shut down. Only emergency vehicles will be allowed on the roads in 13 counties. Also, on the streets of New York City as of 11 p.m. Have you ever heard about that happening in New York before? The answer is no. What do you do if you're at work and you're like on the late shift? And you need to get off that island, man. Roads are already dangerous," said Cuomo, who already has declared a state of emergency and called out to the National Guard. He says it's going to get a lot worse. The National Weather Service, which isn't prone to exaggeration, is using terms like life-threatening, historic, to describe the weather system taking aim at the Northeast, with the worst expected to hit tonight and tomorrow. Also, the governors of Connecticut and Massachusetts also put travel bans in place. It's going to be the kind of night where the best thing anybody can do is stay inside, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker said tonight. In Philadelphia, Mayor Michael Nutter declared a snow emergency starting at 6 p.m. tonight. Cars left parked in the snow emergency routes will be towed and the owners ticketed. I also heard something about a $300 fine if you're caught on the freeways or caught on the roads. Maybe even walking down a sidewalk in New York City. They want everybody indoors. The former CIA officer accused of disclosing the details of a covert operation to the New York Times reporter was convicted today in federal court. Jeffrey Sterling was convicted of 9 felony counts of unauthorized disclosure of national defense information, according to the Washington Post, after allegedly leaking classified information about a top-secret CIA operation to undermine Iran's nuclear program, to New York Times reporter James Risen. Insane. He's going to be sentenced here shortly. I don't know what to think of it. Well, you know what I think about it. Right now I'm going to hold off. We'll see what the sentencing does. In a breakthrough, now, I don't know if you heard anything about this, and it's kind of weird how the media is handling this. But in case you haven't heard, right now there is a saltwater-powered sports car. In a breakthrough that's about to catch the attention of the oil industry and even electric car makers, a company has gained approval for its saltwater-powered car in Europe. A car called the Quant E-Sport Limousine that was presented at the 2014 Geneva Motor Show is the first electric car powered by saltwater and is now certified for use on European public roads. You need to see this thing. It's not a Volt. Oh no. The sport limousine runs on electrolyte flow cell power system made by Nano Flow Cell that generates, listen to this, 920 horsepower. It goes from 0 to 62 in 2.8 seconds and propels a car to a top speed of 217 miles an hour. It works just like a hydrogen fuel cell, except the liquid used for storing the energy is salt water and not hydrogen. This isn't far from the water-powered car, an idea labeled as a conspiracy by many despite the massive amount of evidence behind it. You can read more about that on the internet. You can go and find that. But in this case, the liquid, the salt water, passes through a membrane in between the two tanks, creating an electric charge. This electricity is then stored and distributed by supercapacitors. The 4 electric motors in the car are fed electricity, which makes it run. It's that simple. The car carries the water in 2 200-liter tanks, which in one sitting will allow drivers to travel up to 373 miles on water at 200 miles an hour. Ho ho. That is a game changer. Google's willingness to surrender the private emails of WikiLeaks staffers to the United States government amounts to an attack on journalism. Christine Hrafnsson, an Icelandic journalist who joined the WikiLeaks as a group spokesman in 2010, said he's appalled that Google gave up his personal correspondence and other sensitive details to the U.S. government in compliance with a search warrant served to Google, apparently in an effort to bring charges against the anti-secrecy organization and its editor, Julian Assange. Now, I'm quoting here. I believe this is an attack on me. As a journalist, for now almost 30 years, I think this is an attack on journalism. Earlier yesterday, WikiLeaks announced that Google accounts registered to 3 staffers. Hrafnsson, investigations editor Sarah Harrison, and senior editor Joseph Farrell, that's right, has been the subject of federal search warrants served to the text giant in 2012. Back to the drone. The White House drone, a small drone flying low to the ground, crashed onto the White House grounds before dawn today, triggering a major emergency response and raising fresh questions about security at the White House. The man operating the drone called the Secret Service today saying, "Hey, man, I need to self-report me." He said it was just recreational use. It was an accident. Secret Service spokesman Brian Leary said in a statement Monday afternoon. I'm quoting here from Leary. He says initial indications are that this incident occurred as a result of recreational use of the device. The Secret Service launched an immediate investigation in the origins of the drone, which crashed southeast side of the White House grounds just after 3 a.m. in the morning. Check this out. You got to love this. Cut off from the internet. Young Cubans, have quietly linked thousands of computers into a hidden network that stretches miles across Havana, letting them chat with friends, play games, download movies. Oh, yeah, their own little mini micronet. Home internet connections are banned all the way across Cuba. Just a handful of people have them. And the government charges nearly a quarter of a month's salary for an hour online in government-run hotels and internet centers. As a result, Most people on the island, they're offline. They don't have any access. There is no internet there. But a small group have covertly engineered a partial solution by pooling funds to create a private network of more than 9,000 computers with small, inexpensive, but powerful hidden Wi-Fi antennas, and you know they're creative, and Ethernet cables strung over streets and rooftops spanning the entire city. Amazing. You go. Among a major U.S. airlines, Delta wins the prize for its Wi-Fi service, offering the most flights and flight miles with Wi-Fi of all airlines by far. That's according to the Route Happy report on Wi-Fi trends among airlines around the world. Route Happy states that the Wi-Fi situation has changed dramatically since the last report in July 2013, when Wi-Fi was not as common and the quality and the high prices led to lots of traveler complaints. So there you go. When I flew a couple of months, I didn't have any Wi-Fi. I had nothing. And you know what? It wasn't fun. And, check this out. There's a new coffee to help you fall asleep. That's right. That's what Gilliland Jessup says. He and his wife have begun to do with Counting Sheep Coffee, a new product designed to allow coffee lovers to drink a cup before bed without being kept awake for hours. Now, I would have thought that's called decaf. But instead of a glass of wine, they'll brew a cup of coffee instead. They launched the company in 2013. When his wife complained that she couldn't enjoy coffee after 3 p.m., I drink it all night, all day, Jessup turned his home into a makeshift lab in search for a possible solution. After experimenting with a variety of herbs and supplements, he says he stumbled upon valerian A, a plant that has been used as a mild sedative in Europe for centuries. He mixed it with decaf to mask the pungent smell, and Sleep Coffee was born. Sleep Coffee, check it out. Quantum mechanics, though firmly tested, is so weird and anti-intuitive that famed physicist Richard Feynman once remarked, "I think I can safely say that nobody understands quantum mechanics." Nobody does. Attempts to explain some of the bizarre consequences of quantum theory have led to some mind-bending ideas, such as the Copenhagen interpretation and the many worlds interpretation. Now, there's a new theory on the block. It's called the many interacting worlds hypothesis, the MIW. And the idea is just as profound as it sounds. The theory suggests not only that parallel worlds exist, but they interact with our world on the quantum level. Thus, they are detectable. Though still speculative, the theory may help to finally explain some of the bizarre consequences inherent in quantum mechanics. The theory is a spin-off of the many worlds interpretation in quantum mechanics, an idea that says that all that possible alternative histories and futures are real, each representing an actual, though parallel, world. One problem with the many worlds interpretation, however, has been that it is fundamentally untestable, since observations can only be made in our world. Happenings in these proposed parallel worlds can thus only be imagined. MIW, however, says otherwise. It suggests that parallel worlds can interact on the quantum level, and in fact, that they do. The idea of parallel universes in quantum mechanics has been around since 1957, explained Howard Wiseman, a physicist at Griffith University in Brisbane, Australia, and one of the physicists who came up with MIW. He goes on to say, in the well-known many worlds interpretation, each universe branches into a bunch of new universes every time a quantum measurement is made. All possibilities are therefore realized. In some universes, the dinosaur-killing asteroid missed Earth. In others, Australia was colonized by the Portuguese. When asked about whether their theory might entail the possibility that humans could someday interact with other worlds, Weissman said, and I'm quoting, "It's not part of our theory, But the idea of human interactions with other universes is no longer pure fantasy. And that's it. That's all the news you need or knew anything about. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. This is our premiere show. Oh, yeah. How's it sounding out there? Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B. That's the sandbox. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I will be back right after this. Stay with us.
Jimmy is your preacher. Amen. This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're of the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
KJCR. JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. On the Game Changer Network, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. Let's do this. Follow us on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio, hashtag F2B. If you have any questions for myself or James Gilliland, it is hashtag F2BQ, Fade to Black questions. Simple enough. You can also shoot me an email, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Let's get this cracking. James Gilliland is a minister, counselor, and internationally known lecturer, best-selling author with the books Reunion with Source, Becoming Gods, and The Ultimate Soul Journey. James appeared in Contact Has Begun, His Story, The History Channel, UFOs, Then and Now, UFO Hotspots, ABC, Fox News, BBC, Danny Dyer Special, Paranormal State, ECETI Ranch, a documentary, and the new movie Thrive, amazing movie, have all featured James and ECETI, which he is the founder. Of course, ECETI is the enlightened contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. I would like to welcome to Fade to Black, James Gilliland. James, are you with us tonight, sir?
I'm here. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's great to have you. We've been waiting for this for a while, and I'm turning some knobs here. And welcome to the program. Now, really quick, just so everybody knows, where are you tonight? What part of the universe?
Yeah, I'm in Maui, actually, right now. I just finished a workshop here in Maui, a weekend workshop, and did an event actually at the Makawao Church, which was amazing. I think there's 75 to 80 people. I'm not sure how many people were there, but we packed the church, and it's kind of amazing for a small island to have that many people come. But it's very well received, the information we've been bringing out, and plus, it's great to get off the mountain. And I'd be shoveling snow right now or on the tractor.
Man, can you believe what's going on in the East Coast? Unbelievable. Well, and what I'm hoping for with this snowstorm out there in New York is that it was all maybe just hype. I understand you want to err on the side of caution, but let's just hope that somebody made a mistake somewhere. You just don't want, that to go down with the idea of the size of what they're talking about. That is just frightening. And then here you are in Hawaii. I'm out here in Burbank, and we're not dealing with snow plows, and it's tough. So anybody out there in New York or in that area, Philadelphia, Boston, and you're listening to this show, just stay safe, be comfortable, and I hope you bought 2 or 3 days worth of groceries. So Oh, okay. Now, James, I don't know where to start with you, and the reason why is you are respected in so many different fields. And not only that, you have your ranch. We could spend the next 2 hours, 2.5 hours, just talking about what you do at the ranch. But I kind of want to, I'm going to throw you a softball first, and we're going to start off here. And did you have something happen? Did you have contact or anything as a youth, and your family, were they aware? You know, how did that get started?
Well, what was interesting is that I had contact ever since I was a little kid, basically, and my brother and I used to see ships constantly. We lived in the high desert in Apple Valley, California, not too far away from George Van Tassel, I think, where he has the Integratron and things like that. But there's been a lot of activity out there and well documented, since the 50s, basically, and 40s. But that's where we were raised, and it was just common knowledge to us that UFOs were real and they existed, and we didn't even question it. It wasn't even something to question, just considering all the objects that we saw as kids. But we also had some encounters later on. My brother actually did some hypnotherapy with oh boy, who did he do that with? I think it was with I'm not sure, somebody really well known. He went back and he said, yeah, it was real. We did have encounters when we were kids, and I didn't do the hypnotherapy because I was fully aware of it. I just said, I don't need to do hypnotherapy. And he said, but it was benevolent, and it was good. It was all good. So I said, well, that's good to know. It's good to validate.
Did you ever, I have to ask you this, did you go out to the Integratron when you were a kid?
We did. And my dad took me out there, and my dad was pretty interesting. He was a dentist. He was well respected, in the community, but he was like a living Buddha. He just walked the talk. He didn't talk it. He just walked it, and very loving, very caring, and very awake. And he would stop every once in a while, and he'd pull over, and we'd get out of the car, and he said, "Look up," and there'd be like 5 ships flying over the car, and that's kind of the way I was raised. And he didn't say much about it. He just said, look at it, check it out, and that was it. And we get back in the car and take off.
Yeah, wait. Let me stop you right there. 5 ships over the car?
Yeah. It was that wasn't uncommon. And he was raised in Roswell, near Roswell, actually in Carlsbad, but he was in Roswell, that whole area. He was traveling. My grandfather had the hardware store there, so they were delivering things out to the Swenson Ranch where they had the crash site, and they knew all the people. My grandmother was very good friends with the first responders, the sheriff and the deputy, and she talked to them, the day after the event, and she said they couldn't even hold a coffee cup. They were shaking so bad, and she said they were white. It really affected them, in a very profound way.
When you went out to the Integratron, now I haven't been there, but Van Tassel is somebody, George Van Tassel, somebody that I talk about on the show a lot. I've had his son on the show, Chad C. Meek. But I haven't been to Joshua Tree, but I haven't been to the Integratron. How many years ago was this, and was it, what was the condition of it? Did you go inside? What happened?
No, we just went out to that area. We went out to Giant Rock. My dad took us out to Giant Rock where the rock split and showed us the rock, and basically just drove by it. We didn't go inside it, but, I was probably 9 years old at the time or something like that. So
what did your dad say? Now, that's the Integratron over there. It's a time machine. What a cool dad, by the way. That's
Yeah. It was interesting. He would just let us experience things. He wouldn't tell us what was going on or anything else. He would just point things out and say, check it out.
So he was open-minded, and your mom too?
Well, my mom kind of struggled with all this stuff. She was much more kind of materialistic and was more worried about what people would think, and she was holding that space, I guess.
So when did you have your first experience yourself?
Oh, I was probably 6 or 7 years old, the first one. And I remember I was my dad came in, and I was actually screwing the door shut. There's a door that went to the backyard where we had a big asphalt driveway and a basketball court and things like that. And it was in the high desert. And we lived on the end of the house, my brother and I, in this room. It was kind of away from the rest of the house. And the door leading to the outside, I was putting these big screws through it to screw it shut so it couldn't open. And he asked me he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Keeping them out,"
Okay. And he must have immediately said, keeping who out?
Yeah. He knew what I was doing, but you're a little kid. You don't realize, screws are highly overrated as far as keeping the
totally.
That's all.
Well, you know what though? That was the first step I think all of us would take. So you did the right thing.
Yeah.
So who was visiting you?
Well, they were benevolent ones, and they were different. And I have a very vague memory of it. And I was having some contacts with what some would call Palladians or Nordics, and there were some other ones too. And it was kind of mixed, and so it was. I didn't really totally understand what was going on. A lot of it I thought was just dreams, and that's what I was told when I tried to bring it up to my mom. She'd just say, "Oh, that was go back to bed. That's just a dream," So.
And what was the communication like, and what were they saying? Do you remember a lot of that?
I do. When I was older, I remember being taken, and one of the things was very interesting. I remember standing before a council, and I was almost being presented to this council, and they had some major plan for me. I still have no idea what it was, but it was like I was being presented there, and they were, checking me over basically, and they kind of nodded, and then I was taken back, and that was basically it, in one experience.
What was the environment? Could you tell that you were maybe on a ship or maybe in a room somewhere here? Or, what was that like? What was the experience?
It was on a ship, but it was just like you couldn't really tell you're on a ship because it was like it almost seemed like you're in an elaborate hotel, like a New Age hotel or something like that. Oh,
that's interesting. Could you? These are the details. This is how my brain works, James. So just go with me on this. Could you tell? I mean, was it walking like you were on a boat out at sea? Or could you tell that you weren't on terra firma?
No, it just seemed like you're on the ground somewhere. That's what it felt like. But it was just, you had a sense of feeling that, I mean, it was so solid, and it wasn't bouncing around or moving or anything else. That's all I remember is I remember walking down it's like a runway, not a runway, but there was this council there, and we walked down this aisle, you might say, right up to the council. And I was with another guy who was bringing me, and I found out later who he was, but he was very tall, very, very tall. And he was wearing robes, basically, and he brought me up there and presented me, and then they kind of nodded, and that was it.
Was it almost like an interview?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm picturing almost like a courtroom, or the United Nations. Was it that kind of atmosphere?
It was kind of like that. It was similar to that. And it was I can kind of make some presumptions about it. I hate doing that, but and I don't want to get into ego about it, but
sure,
it's almost like they had a role for me or to play, or a mission, you might say, and he was, presenting me saying, okay, here's the guy we're going to use, or something, something like that. That's what I got from it.
Did you remember it after, the next day? Was your memory clear, or did you start to recall the memories later on in life?
No, it was clear. It was really clear. It seemed like a real powerful dream, but it was just too real to be a dream. It was just too strong.
And what about after that? Did the communications continue?
Yes, they would continue to just check in on me at time to time, and then we lived in the high desert where these giant granite boulders were next to our our house, and I used to go up and hike up in these granite boulders and sit on top of them, and then I would have, you know, a communication going on. It was just like I was talking to somebody. It was quite interesting, and they would help me depersonalize things and understand, you know, why humanity did this and did that, and why people behaved the way they did.
Can you share some of that with us? Oh, also, did you develop a friendship, and was it always the same contact? And did you know, like a first name basis and so forth? Yeah,
I did. It was female, and I didn't get on a first name basis until later. It was kind of interesting when you're younger. You just accept things, and I just accepted, you know, that I was talking to somebody, and I didn't really ask a lot of those questions. But I found out later it was a Pleiadian. It was a Pleiadian woman, and the more I found out about her later on, is that she's actually coming back in time, like 2 million years ahead of our future, coming back to assist us now. And she's like a master teacher, you know, in her timeline, and she's about 430 years old, but she looks like she's about 25.
You know, I asked Travis Walton this once about his experience when, you know, with the female ET. And was she, and I'm not being cavalier, was she wearing makeup, or was her skin normal? And can you describe that to us?
She was very light-skinned, and she had big eyes. Her eyes were bigger than most, and very light-skinned. And the most important thing was the energies that emanated from her. You just feel this pure love coming from them, and you know, you just fall in love with them instantly, basically.
And speaking English?
She could, but it was mainly telepathic. I think if she had to actually speak, she could, but it was just thought to thought.
And what about your communication going back when you're dealing with telepathy, and obviously you're not practiced? Were you able to, you know, get a hold of that and communicate effectively?
It was pretty. Yeah, it just came natural.
Right.
You know, it was just, and I know other people that aren't really telepathic, even some people that have had communications where beings have just showed up, seem to. It's just a natural thing almost. It's like when they speak and you hear it in your head, you automatically respond, and it just seems to kick on, or it's probably always there. We just never use it.
Were you comfortable? You know, were you ever scared, or, you know, oh man, they're coming back,
yeah,
and I don't want to do this, or was it just something that you were cool with?
When I was very young, it frightened me a little bit because I didn't understand it.
Sure.
And, a little bit, and then, but later on, the more I interacted with them, the more I got used to it, and the more loving they were. It was just, you know, there's nothing to fear with these beings, and then after that, you know, this goes jumping forward, but I've had a couple of near-death experiences, so after that, you kind of lose your fear of these things.
Sure.
Once you go through that experience, even your fear of death is kind of pushed aside.
Did you know about George Van Tassel and his experiences at this point, or did you find out about The reason why I'm bringing up George, he's right there, and he lived there. So did you find out about George later, or did you already know about his experiences?
I didn't know. No, I found out later about him. I didn't know who he was or what was going on there. I wasn't aware of that. I was aware of Giant Rock and some of the other things that were happening out there. But there was another group there that I was aware of, and it was Otis Carr, and Ralph Ring has brought that information out. But they were actually building a flying saucer in Hesperia, which was we would go through Hesperia all the time. It's right next to Apple Valley where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this, and it was right close to the dump actually. And they had this giant sign up there, it had a big UFO on it, and it said something research group. I couldn't remember what it said, but I remember seeing the UFO on it. And I always said, I want to go there. And they wouldn't, my mom wouldn't take me. She went, and she goes, oh no, they're criminals, they're this. And she caught up in, because the FBI came in and just confiscated everything and took everything. And it was in the newspaper and everything. So
right.
She bought into that, that they're criminals, and that's the way they painted it.
And the reason why I bring up George is because as you found out about George and started to research his contacts and everything that he had talked about, did it relate exactly to what was happening to you out there? And did you have a serious aha moment?
Very, yeah, it validated it.
Right.
A lot of the old contactees just validated my own experiences.
Have you been back to Giant Rock since? I'm sure you have.
I have. And I also went out to Joshua Tree I go out there every year now. They have a big event out there, Contact in the Desert.
Oh, yeah. You and I will be there together this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we went out to a place out there near Giant Rock, and there's a crystal mountain there. The whole mountain is made out of crystal. And I could see there's a lot of discarnate spirits hanging around there. And that's where a lot of the Native Americans used to gather and do a lot of ceremony out there. And so we went out there and we were doing clearings and kind of helping these beings cross over. And we had a camera woman there that took her camera and set it down to take, a picture like every minute or something like that. And she took a few pictures while we were doing the event. And you can see the spirits coming in and moving on, and being healed. And the next thing you know, the whole place turned into orbs, like wall-to-wall orbs. And then it turned into like violet flames or purple, looked like giant purple flames. And there's a ship above us and a ship in front of us. And the next picture she took was us being totally transparent. You could see right through us, the whole group.
What is it about Joshua Tree? I mean, I'm being serious. What is it about that area? When you drive, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm saying this for the audience. When you pull into Joshua Tree, you feel it immediately right through your car. That is a very, very special place. And what is it about Joshua Tree?
Well, there's a giant aquifer going underneath it. And I think there's I think it's on some, probably an intersection of some major ley lines. I didn't have a chance to really look into what it's about, but there's a lot of tunnels through there that people have found in the past that actually go into like what they call inner earth civilizations and things like that, according to legends. So, who knows? That's the same thing with my ranch. You feel it before you even get to the ranch. Pretty far away, you can feel the energy, and it's intense when you get on the ranch. And we're actually sitting right on top of a base of in an underground facility, and we have film of the doors opening on the mountain and beings going in the mountain, like ships going into the mountain and coming out of the mountain, and actually like light beings coming out of the mountain. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, we'll get to all of that. I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about that. I've watched so much of your video from up there, but again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Last year was really funny. Victoria and I, from Contact in the Desert, we were talking, and I said, Victoria, how's it? She goes, Jimmy, come out here tonight, and you will just sit out with us, and we'll watch the lights. I was like, what, you mean like every day something is going on out here? So we went out last year. You were there. Last year we stayed actually in 29 Palms, and about 20 miles away. And we had a little party, little get together on Saturday night. I believe you were doing your viewing. Did you do it on Friday or Saturday last year?
God, I can't remember. I've done so many things.
Yeah, I think you did yours on Friday night when we were broadcasting. Yeah.
It's Friday night.
Yeah, we were broadcasting and we couldn't participate. But so Saturday night, we're out at our little cabin, and we were out on the front patio, and obviously we were looking to the stars and talking about, life kind of thing. And then suddenly somebody says, look. And as I spin my head, sure enough, right there, this ball, it's the best way I could describe it. I don't know how big it was, but it must have been huge, but took off from the ground and just shot straight up into the stars. And it took about 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds, to go from being on the ground to into the atmosphere. Just pew, just took off. It was amazing to see. I saw the second the second half of it. I didn't see it leave the ground. But what I saw was absolutely amazing, and we just looked at each other and went, "There you go, there it was." You know, it was amazing to see.
At Giant Rock, when I went out and took a group out to Giant Rock, and we had one right at the bush level, right above the bushes, just cruising right along, went right by us and went off down the road and just vanished. You know, it just disappeared. It didn't kick up any dust or anything, which was amazing. You know, and
how big was it?
Oh, I would say it was hard to tell. I would say it wasn't very big. It was maybe 15 feet or so. It was kind of just a bright orange light.
Right.
Kind of golden orange light. It wasn't real big, but it was just cruising right along, you know, right across the desert. It wasn't even bouncing or anything. You know, if it was any kind of a vehicle, it'd be obvious, but I mean, it was close enough to us that you would have definitely heard a car or an engine or a vehicle. It was silent and just cruising right along. And we all watched it. One guy videotaped it, and we had a couple fly right over us and powered up and lit the whole sky up and made a turn. And they're kind of a purplish color.
When it comes to Joshua Tree and 29 Palms and that area out there, do you think some of it may be spirits? Indian stuff? What do you think? Or do you think it's just ET contact?
Yeah, it's probably all of the above. You know, it's hard to say because, you know, I've seen so many different things out there, but the things that I saw were most likely ETs or off-worlders.
Right. And this is the James Gilliland $1 million question. Do you think it's when you have your encounters out there, is it because of you?
Well, the ranch, that area.
No, I mean in Joshua Tree, when you're out at Giant Rock and suddenly something shows up, is it because of you?
They do follow me. They pretty much wherever I go, they seem to be there and appear. But there are places that have a history, you know, of ships, and like the ranch, even where I am right now, the Native Americans up there, the Yakima Nation, they have a long history of interaction with them and know that they're based underneath the mountain. There's a whole crystal city according to their legends. And actually Kenneth Arnold, who coined the word flying saucers, lost sight of the ships when they landed on the western slopes of Mount Adams, which is basically my front yard. So
right. Yeah,
there's even Dr. Jalen Hynek did investigations up there, and Greg Long, who wrote the books, and David Akers, and all these people. It has a long history of activity that I didn't even know about before I moved there. I was just guided internally that was where I needed to go.
This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network. We are talking with James Gilliland. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. James, you just brought a really good point. You were drawn to that area. Before you got the ranch, did you hear about activity that was going on up there before you bought the ranch, or did that just come along as a bonus?
That was a bonus, actually, because I had a place in Santa Cruz, California, where we were doing self-mastery classes and teaching, you know, deep meditation techniques and healing unseen negative influences and a lot of process-oriented therapies and things. And I kept having visions over and over of this, you know, beautiful ranch with a huge mountain in front of us, Mount Adams, but I didn't know which mountain it was. And then I saw a river on the eastern border and a little mountain behind it. And then I saw the words Little Mountain, which didn't make sense to me at all in the vision. And so I got a map of the United States and dowsed it out and found out where it was. And what's funny is I threw the map away in the closet, forgot about it, and I ended up there anyway, because my brother opened an import shop in Hood River, Oregon, which was very close to where I live now. And, you know, it was kind of destiny in a way, even though I screwed it up and didn't follow through. I ended up there anyway. But it was kind of hilarious. But when I got on the mountain, I was blown away that the energy there, that I saw eagles flying above me, and the mountain just put on a spectacular display. It had a giant lenticular cloud on top of it, and with full of light underneath it, and it morphed into all these fingers going up into the sky, and just the energy was phenomenal there. And you know, there's no doubt about it that was the one I had the vision of. But the funny thing about it is I couldn't figure out why why they kept showing me the words Little Mountain, and because there's this massive mountain, in front of me, and there was a mountain behind me, but it actually ended up being on Little Mountain Road.
Oh, there's the connection. There was no Little Mountain. It was Little Mountain Road.
Yeah, it was Little Mountain Road is where the ranch
because
was.
Because Mount Adams is not little.
No, it's huge.
It's huge. And tell me about that for a second. The way that your property, your house, I haven't been there. I've seen so many videos. But the house, did you build the house, or was it already there facing Mount Adams?
No, I built pretty much everything there, and it's a beautiful site. There's a house built out of a bridge that used to go across the White Salmon River, and we call that the Bridge House. And then there's a pyramid building with guest houses underneath it. And then we have about 4 yurts that are kind of tucked away in the woods, beautiful little yurts. And then, there's other like meditation rooms and things like that. And we also have a conference building there as well. That's a 40 by 80 conference building. So there's a lot of structures on the land, and it's set up for camping, and whoever wants to camp there and have their own experience. And I always tell people, don't take my word for it, come see for yourself. And literally tens of thousands have.
How many people are up there at any given time?
Well, it depends. In the summertime, it's pretty, we can have 300 people there if we're doing a conference or something like that.
Sure.
And just usually there's about 30 people out there, at a time, sky watching.
Now, this is a question just for me. So you're out there, and inevitably you're going to have somebody go, okay, are we going to see something? Right? Is that, that's the question, right? Somebody's going to ask, what's your response?
Well, some of the questions are kind of hilarious. Some people go, they go, are you going to summon them down, and summon them? And I said, you don't summon these beings, you invite them. You don't tell them what to do.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. And then some come up and say, prove it to me, and I said, well, it's not between you and me, it's between you and them, whether they decide to show themselves to you. So, a lot of those questions come up, and it's all about having, an open mind, a loving heart, and pure intent, and rising to the occasion. These are very spiritually and technologically advanced beings, and it's not their job to entertain us, but if people are serious and they want to have an experience and they come up, they'll see them. But if your mind isn't right, they'll just stay high. You'll see something high that you can't explain it, and it'll do a turn or power up or do something phenomenal, and you'll see that. But if you have your head right, the more awake you are, the closer they come, which is interesting. So, and they can scan the group, and they'll know if we have a cohesive group, or they'll know if we have a lot of naysayers in the group or things like that. And sometimes you get some people that are really negative out there, and it does kind of mess up the group energy or the evening.
And so when you're going to have those skeptics, right? How many leave still skeptical? I mean, are we talking about life-changing experiences nearly 100% of the time?
Well, I'm sure there's probably a few out there that have left, that they may have come when it was raining or overcast or something and didn't have an experience, but it's nightly. You can't miss it if you're paying attention. But we'll see anything from like 9 to 50 ships. I've counted 200 ships at a time, up there that put on a show. And sometimes they come real low and put on a great show, and sometimes they stay higher. And I've had people come up there. One guy said, you know what, that's a satellite until it turns around and goes back the other way. To me, that's a satellite. And right after he said that, it stopped and it turned around and went back the other way.
Oh, man, I've seen. Okay, now on ECETI, you've got videos on ECETI?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Are these the videos that I've been watching over the years? Some of them are just mind-bending. And so you have them all up on ECETI?
Well, I have boxes and boxes of video, but I don't have the manpower or the expertise to get them cataloged and up there. We do have enough on there that, for people to watch, but, there's, we're just sitting on tons of stuff that we just don't have. I don't have the time to do it, and I don't even know how to do it, how to download all this stuff and get it up.
I remember I can't. It was a few years ago, and I remember you speaking about one of your videos, and you were describing it, and I'm picturing it in my mind, right? And then I see the video,
Yeah.
and I was like, that is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And to hear you, you were so excited, and about it, and you were like, no, this is my ranch, man. This is what's going on up here. And I just pictured in my mind's eye everybody in the country just jumping into cars and heading up there to see this, because the videos are extraordinary. They are truly extraordinary.
Oh, yeah. And, they show up right on time, exactly when and where we say they will. And that's been done redundantly. And we did it with Paranormal State, and I told them at 10 o'clock at the east, there's going to be a big mothership come in treetop level and put on a show, and sure enough, right at 10 o'clock on the dot, this one appeared, powered up, and then went down behind the trees, and put on a show. So Chip Coffey was there, their psychic, and he got the same information, and we hadn't even talked yet. So it was pretty well validated that, there's a telepathic contact. We've done that redundantly. We did it with Danny Dyer, and we did it with Robbie Williams, the UK pop star was there.
Uh-huh.
And so, all these have been well documented. We even did it with Sean Hannity on Fox News, but they kind of sanitized it. They didn't show the really good footage. They did show some footage, and then they brought a debunker on. But they allowed me to debunk the debunker, and he ended up looking pretty bad after.
Well, I mean, seriously, you've got bullets in your gun when it comes to the ranch and the videos and the consistency.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be easy. That would be fun. Oh, you know what? I think it was Micah Hanks that was just up there. Was Micah just up there?
Micah Hanks. It sounds familiar.
Maybe it wasn't Micah.
Oh, God, what's his name?
I just had somebody on the show. I'm going to divert to Twitter. Who was on Fade to Black a couple of weeks ago that was up at ECETI, and I'll wait for Twitter to catch up to the delay.
Well, Willie Nelson's son, Micah, was there. He's come up to the ranch, and he had some amazing experiences. And I remember that Micah. I remember another Micah, but I'm trying to, there's so many people that come through there. It's really, we get thousands of people coming through there a year, and it's hard to just remember who's who, So
yeah.
I apologize. If I see a face, I definitely remember faces or...
I'm doing the same thing right now, so we're okay. We're both on the same page. Can you take me through a typical evening and how you guys start off? And do you guys meditate before? Do you clear your minds, or do you not have to do that? Take me through a typical evening up at the ranch.
Well, some people come just to camp and see, and then other people will actually go through an ambassador training course or something like that, or they'll come up and we'll do a clearing session where we clear out any unseen negative influences and make sure that the space is clear, and we'll give a little talk on who they are and how to connect with them, and that we basically tell people, look, you need an open mind, a loving heart, and pure intent, and here's how you heal unseen negative influences, to make sure you stand in your own self-authority, and so we teach people and kind of train people so they can kind of discern who's who, and it's like I always say, put an addendum on it. Don't say I want to see a ship or I want to meet an ET. You might want to say I want to meet a benevolent ET. Make sure you're calling in the right ones.
And so you guys sit down. I've seen your back porch. Is that where you guys do you just gather right there, or do you go to a specific spot on the ranch?
We have two places. We have a beautiful campfire place, with a bunch of seats around it, and we a lot of times sometimes we just sit around the campfire and we'll bring out drums and flutes and other instruments and just be playing, and they come and fly right over us.
Yeah, I watched a video one time of you guys at the campfire area. There was a pretty good group of people there. There was probably 50, maybe more. It's at night, and suddenly everybody is seeing things like right at the same time. But I don't think they were actually seeing the same shit. I mean, there was a multiple sighting. Yeah. Where people were pointing in different directions. Everybody's got their video cameras out. Everybody's binoculars and night vision. But everybody there was seeing multiple objects at one time. And I have to ask you, is that a typical evening?
It is basically, and sometimes you'll see one coming in from the north. There'll be another one coming from the south, and they'll come three at a time, from different directions. And we've had that happen quite a bit.
Tell everybody the story about the door opening and the exiting and entrancing of craft. It's absolutely incredible.
And we actually had the night vision camera on the door once, and it opened up, and we were filming the door on the mountain, and this is just a massive light on the mountain. And this object, one time the object came out, looked like an atom. It looked like a probe kind of, and it was a light sphere, and it came out of the mountain. It came right up over the ranch and cruised by the whole group. And that might be because we were shooting lasers at the door. So we shoot lasers up at the ships, and they respond. They respond back. We never had anything negative, negative response from them. But they come over and do what I call dazzle duty. They come do a little dazzle duty for the groups every once in a while.
How many went in and left the door? There's one video that I recall, and it's night vision pointed at Mount Adams, and you can see the bright spot.
Yeah.
And my memory is saying crafts entered. Did some enter the door?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of different videos, so I'm not sure. And other people have taken videos there and posted them on YouTube, so I'm not sure which video. But we have them coming out and going in, and the most amazing one I have is it was on a DVD called They're Here, and it has this being coming out of the door, and he's walking towards us, and he has kind of robes on and a sash, and we're estimating this guy's about 200 feet tall, and he's a light being, and he's walking right towards us, and we have it on film. And you can see his torso, and you can see him moving, his legs moving and everything, walking right towards us. And that was a mind blower even for me. I just go, whoa, what is that about? And and I could say, well, that's a hologram, that's blue beam. It could be a lot of different things, but I can't deny the energy that night. We were all just higher than a kite, and you can't see this with your naked eye. You can only see it through the night vision, or if you have clairvoyancy. But there was definitely a presence there that night that was just incredible.
Now, how tall is Mount Adams?
I think it's 12,380 or something like that. I'm not sure. It's the second highest mountain. It used to be the third highest mountain, but St. Helens blew its top, and now Mount Adams is number 2.
And how far is Mount Adams from the back of your house?
About 13 miles.
Yeah, because when you see it in the videos, you can then appreciate how big this mountain is. I mean, it is.
Yeah, and it looks like it's in our front yard. It's just a massive mountain, and these lights that we're seeing. When you see a light that takes over about a quarter mile worth of area and is 13 miles away, that's not a camper. That's not a fire, up there or anything else. And when it starts moving around the mountain, then you definitely know it's not, any known object up there.
Well, and you can start to, and this is why I'm asking this. I want everybody to understand what we're dealing with here. We're talking about a 13,000 foot mountain peak that is in your backyard. So now you are able to judge altitude. It's not close to the ground. It's 12,000. And if it's above the mountain, then it's 15,000, 20,000 feet in the air. And I've seen the videos, and so you can kind of judge. But what about with the mountain being that far away, 13 miles away, and you're looking at these craft? Are you able to judge the size of some of these? Because it's my guesstimation that some of these are hundreds of feet, across. They're not small objects. They're actually quite large. Yeah,
some are very large, and we've had them treetop level. We had them on my birthday. I was meditating, and I asked them. I think it's on the ECETI Stargate on YouTube. And I asked them to come on my birthday, and I go, that's all I want for my birthday. Just come and fly over the house. And they did. And so they brought a ship in, and they came and they flew it over the house, and they powered it up, and it just whited out the whole screen. And just an amazing video. And, and I've had people there. I've had NASA people there that have come to the ranch. And NASA has their own investigative group. They don't tell you about it, but they have people with their bags packed, ready to go at a moment's notice. And when anything happens, they show up, and they ended up showing up at my place, but they're kind of clandestine when they did. And they they got busted in an interesting way. But
whoa. Okay, what happened?
Well, I can't give his name because I don't want to get him in trouble because they're still working there. But what happened is this guy came up and he had a laptop and he was out in the middle of the field and watching all this stuff going on and everything. And I watched him typing in this laptop and I go, how does he get a signal out there? You know, he's out in the middle of there's no signal that goes out there, no Wi-Fi. And I see him using a card, you know, and swiping it through his computer and everything. And I just go, this is something else going on here. You know, this is pretty high tech. And we've had that happen a few times where people came up and you can tell, and really nice guy, you know, he's really nice and everything. And I said, well, that's quite a computer. How do you get a signal out here? You know? And he didn't say much. He goes, oh, I'm hooked up to satellite and things like that. And so, you know, I didn't think much of it, you know, and I just said, well, obviously this guy's, you know,
connected,
you know, somehow, you know, he's not going to tell me, you know, what's going on. And, you know, we're there to educate everybody. I think we've had all the alphabet agencies have been out there, everybody, and we just go, well, they need to learn too. You know, that's the way we look at it.
Did he have NASA somewhere? Did he stumble? How did you find out he was NASA?
Well, this is the funny part is that he went, my brother lived in Santa Cruz, and my brother's one of the best body workers in Santa Cruz. And he does a lot of deep tissue work and massage therapy and everything. And so he's working on, you know, this guy comes to him and he's working on him. And he goes, oh, you work for NASA? And he goes, oh yeah, you know. And he goes, so what's the deal about the UFOs? He goes, they're real. He goes, they're here. And he goes, we can't talk about it, you know, but we can't talk about it. And then he goes, well, you ever been out to the Gilliland Ranch? And he goes, yeah. He goes, we've investigated. And he goes, what's happening there? And he goes, it's real. He said, it's happening there. And then he goes, wait a second. He goes, what's your last name again? You know, and that's how we, you know, it's just through this sequence of events, you know, that I found out. So all of a sudden it's okay, busted, you know. And then so after that, he called back and he said, you know, this is who I am, and I really do want to talk to you. And so we did. We sat down and had a long talk, and I showed him the footage, and I showed him the giant triangle ships, and he said, definitely those are not ours. They're not ours. That's nothing. That's not the NOS satellite or the triangle satellites that they keep trying to dismiss, you know, or are not UFOs. It's some military satellite system and things like that. So, you know, we're fully aware of everything we have up there, and we know we've got, you know, the Genesis, you know, we've got EVASTAT, is another big satellite, and space stations and all that stuff. You know, we have all the data, and we're looking at stuff, and we don't have the data on the secret space fleet, you know, and some of the stuff they had. So that, you know, we can't factor that into it, but some of the stuff that we showed up there was undeniable. I mean, these things are making right angle turns and flipping over and going back the other way, and they're miles and miles wide. I mean, I don't even know how big these things are, but they're massive.
Did you take advantage of your moment with the NASA guy to maybe pick his brain and ask him a couple of questions? And can you share that with us?
Yeah, I did. Mainly, I just had one evening with him, and there was two of them. And it was a couple, and I showed him all the footage, you know, and I just wanted to get their take on it, you know, so I'm not going off half-cocked, you know. I wanted to get a professional opinion on this. And they said when they saw it, they said, you know, our satellites don't power up, and they don't make turns, and they don't do anything that's happening here. And, you know, I showed this footage to James Todd at the planetarium there, and with a reporter. And I gave it to a reporter, and he brought it in to get his opinion of it. He goes, oh, yeah, that's the space station. And he showed him footage of this thing landing on Mount Adams and morphing into 3 and 4 ships and back to 1 again, and then taking off. I mean, it's landed on the mountain, and he had the audacity to say, oh, that's just the space station. It's nothing to get excited over, and said that on the air, you know, like in an interview. And I just couldn't believe it. I go, that is beyond ridiculous. To say something landing on the mountain is the space station.
Yeah, I mean, the ISS is landing on Mount Adams.
Yeah, Yeah, with sheer cliffs and lava face cliffs and glaciers, and yeah, we have a nice little landing pad up there for the space station.
Right. Have you hiked out? Have you gotten close to Mount Adams?
Oh yeah, we've hiked up all through that area, and the area where the door opens up, there's just a giant lava face there, and from my understanding they have the ability. They use kind of a G-force technology that starts swirling, and it just opens the matter there. It turns the matter into light. It opens it up, and then reconstitutes it. When they're gone, and so you'll see this giant lava face there, but and it's swirled. There's swirls in it. Something has swirled that energy, but that's it. I mean, that's all that's there.
How can somebody come and stay at the ranch?
Well, maybe just go to the ECETI.org, or if you go to ask at ECETI reservations, you can check it out. We're putting up a whole new website. New system right now. So we're closed basically until probably the end of March, or probably. But the best way to do it is that we also have ECETI 2015 at gmail.com. People can go to that if they want to find out more about any workshops or conferences.
Yeah, Rick just tweeted. He says, can I camp at the ranch? Is there a cost? Is there a waiting list?
No, there's not a waiting list, but we're not going to be, because I'll be at the International UFO Congress in February. I'm going to be speaking there on the I think it's the 18th.
Yes. Oh, did I lose you?
I'm here.
Okay, well, I lost you. You said UFO Congress on the 18th.
Yeah, I'll be speaking there in Tempe, Arizona, and then after that, I'll be going back to the ranch and getting it ready. It's a lot of work just getting the thing ready after winter. It's because winters are brutal up there, and there's always roofs to patch and plumbing to fix, and And
I was just going to ask you, are the sightings up there seasonal?
It's constant. It's pretty constant, but I noticed one thing: if nobody's looking, they don't really show themselves so much. It's like they actually like decloak or put on a show when we're out there. But if there's nobody out there, it really tones down quite a bit.
Do you ever? I'm going to say this in jest a little bit, like maybe have your back to Mount Adams and then spin around real quick,
Yeah.
just to see if you're being played with, and do you play back?
Oh yeah, they're funny. They've done some things that are just hilarious that I thought were hilarious with me. It's like, the little stunts and we had one guy. We one of our focuses there, and sometimes it's abused. You can't police everything, but we try to have no drug, no alcohol, policy there. And sometimes people will bring a beer or two or something and do something we don't know about. But this one guy went up there during an event, and it was during a ambassador training, and he brought a joint, little doobie out there with him, and he went out in the middle of the field and lit it up like this. And as soon as he lit it up, this ship appeared and shot a plasma ball right at him. He hit the ground and started running inside. It just freaked him out. It did get him. It just dissipated before it got to him. But he said, "Boy, you got quite a police force here."
I heard that story, and it made me laugh.
Yeah.
I heard that story when it first happened. Now, let's change gears a little bit. You had said that most of your contact, if not all of it, has been benevolent, and everything has been cool. You've also done a lot of research into archons and the Anunnaki. Mm-hmm. Now, and there's a relationship there. So I want to kind of change gears and go in this direction a little bit. Tell us about the archons. And you know what? I'm gonna cut you off really quick. The descriptions about archons from different researchers can tend to vary a little bit. So, why don't you tell us what an archon is?
Well, it's a very diverse group, and it's been around. I've written about them since 1982, and basically what I see, it's low-level entities. They're entities that are some might call them demonic, some low-level reptilian, some grays are in there, some serpent-type beings, discarnate spirits that are just pretty much tweaked, and they're kind of existing on the lower fourth dimension. And a lot of people actually, unfortunately, a lot of the Illuminati do ritual to these beings and work with them. And that's why we're in the condition we're in, because you really think about what they're doing is inhuman, you know, and the reason it isn't human is that they're not human anymore. They've lost their soul, basically, and they've given it up to these other entities for power and wealth and notoriety or whatever. So it's a network, and there's an Archon grid that has been over the planet for quite some time, like a draconian type grid, and that is being torn down as we speak by the more benevolent ETs, and the higher dimensional beings are all working together to put an end, you know, to the tyranny and to liberate the planet. And we're right in the middle of that process right now.
When did the Archons arrive here?
You know, I mean, they've been recorded since Egyptian times. I think they've been here a long time. I'm not sure when their arrival date, but they've been around for a long, long time. And, you know, one of the things that people don't realize, and this is recorded, you know, it's actually in stone, you know, recorded in stone. But the ancient Anunnaki, when they came here, there was two main beings there, Enki and Enlil, and then they had their offshoots and groups, and they had the Igigi, I can't remember how they say that, who were the miners, and that were supposed to be helping them, you know, mine the gold so they could create an aerosol to save their planet when it does the wraparound, you know, around the Earth. It's they have a lot of trouble with that one. So, but that story was going on for a while, and then the ones here fell, and when they fell, they got into turf wars, and some of those turf wars included nuclear weapons, and which is recorded in history. You know, it just got to be a real mess, and the benevolent ones, the original ones, left, and who operate under universal law, and they left and they went back home. And the good news is the benevolent Anunnaki are returning now, and they've come back, and there's a big recall going on with the fallen ones, the fallen Anunnaki. And, you know, if you look at the Bush cartel, they call themselves the sons of Marduk. And Marduk was one of the Anunnaki that fell, and he actually invited the reptilians and draconians in because he wanted total control of the earth. He even warred against his own people for that, and he created the biggest mess on the planet. And so now there's as I said, there's a massive cleanup involving the benevolent Anunnaki, the Pleiadians, there's the Orion Council of Light, the Arcturians and Syrians, and all these other groups that are benevolent and that are more on the side of the light are coming in now, the Andromedans as well, and there's just a major cleanup happening.
Was the Archon's intention from the very beginning just to be bad seeds?
Well, they're basically a group of parasites and predators. I mean, that's all they do. That's all they know, and you have to treat them as such, you know, and set boundaries with them. And I've had, you know, face-to-face encounters with these beings, and it was an ugly experience.
That was my next question. With most of your contact being with benevolent races and species, when you now encounter something that is really, you know, bad intentions, what is that atmosphere like, and were you afraid?
Well, I wasn't really afraid, but engaging that energy is very sickening, and it, you know, it's, some of them will try to use like deadly force on you. And they're very manipulative and very controlling, and it wasn't pretty. But, you know, luckily I had access to the higher dimensional beings, and I'd call them, you know, them in, it'd be game over. And the latest thing, I had to deal with some really bad nasties in that group, and very heavy, very intense energy, and they're like serpent beings, and they're in that part of the Archon network, and you know, dealing with those guys was really rough. I could not shake these guys or get rid of them, and they could jump into other people and come at you and just make your life a living hell. But when I met up with these Syrian beings and these feline beings, which are the benevolent protectors, they even call them the protectors of the gods, that all came to an end. And so I can call on these beings and and they come in and just take care of business very quickly.
What do you mean it came to an end?
Well, when you invoke these beings and bring them in, it's these other beings are gone. They just back out of there really fast. They leave.
Is it physical?
It's probably physical on their level, not on my level.
Right. And now, okay. So now you've got contact with like both sides of the fence. The communication with the malevolent creatures. Did they ever tell you or communicate with you what their intentions were? You know, why? I understand the predatory side of things.
Yeah.
But they obviously have to have a long-term goal. You know, and is it just, you know, is it dark? And we have the malevolent side that is preventing them from. Is it the earth? Is it man? You know, what is the goal? Is it money?
No, it's not money. It's basically their goal is to just feed off the resources here and the people here, you know, and just total enslavement. I mean, that's their goal, basically.
It sounds almost like, to me, that it's fun. You know, it's what they do. Yeah. It's what they do.
Yeah.
Manipulating governments, possibly, taking over souls, and it's just what they do for recreation. I mean, I can't imagine what the goal is, because they can leave this planet at any time and go somewhere else. But they stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Am I being naive?
No, I mean, no. They it's just what they do. You know, parasite feeds off of others, and it can't generate its own energy or create anything. They just feed off of others, and predators totally prey on others. That's basically what they do, and that's their nature. And but you know, it got so out of balance here that the prime directive pretty much went out the door, and all the other ones had to step in and start taking care of business.
And we're at the bottom of the hour. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. We're talking with James Gilliland. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What can we do, and what are you doing to facilitate that change?
Boy, I mean, I'm working with so many different groups, and I'm actually helping out in unseen ways, you know, with a lot, even the economic shift that's happening. You know, I've been working with, you know, what some people call the Red Dragon Society, and a lot of people that are in that network, you know, to bring about change, and that's going really well. Actually, it's amazing what's happening there. But you know, it was funny because I can't talk too much about it, but one day I actually got a phone call from the one they call the Grandfather 01, and got to talk to him, and he said he loved the work I was doing, and I was one of the few people that actually understood the higher dimensions and what's happening on the planet. But he also said he wasn't really happy with what a lot of other people are doing and saying out there, and so there, a lot of people are making a lot of false promises and you know, misleading people and things like that. So, but his the energy I experienced with him was just incredible. I mean, just beautiful soul, you know, very wise, very powerful, and very good, you know, on definitely on the good side. So I've been, you know, hopefully I can just bring all this information out, but it's really good on some of the highest levels have already been taken over, and some of the agencies and the things that no longer serve man are just basically going to lose their funding. They're not going to be funded anymore. And so it's a good thing. It's a really good thing that's happening right now.
And what can we do? What advice would it be through ECETI? Could it be through meditation? Is it just self-awareness and knowing?
Well, I think the most important thing right now is don't serve the beast. You know, don't participate in anything that continues to feed the beast. And you know, which is the banksters, you know, you call them the Illuminati, or everybody has different names for them, the cabal. We just need to back away from that and not serve it anymore. And you know, we've heard about the BRICS Union, you know, which was Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And I think last time I heard there's 160 other groups that are joining. I think it's even more. It might be up to 190. And different nations or whatever that are all getting involved in this. But there's just so many different things going on, and it's always, it's also about voting. With your dollars, don't. If you see things that are GMO foods, don't buy them. If you see things that are full of all kinds of aspartame or if your water's full of fluoride and things like that, you got to do something with your water. Find out where your water's coming from and get the right filters there or something like that. There's so many different things that we can do right now as far as cleaning things up. And I think one of the main things that we really need to get after is one, the GMO and the Roundup and all the other things, and two is the chemtrails, because both of those are a plague on humanity, and they need to end, and they're just run by psychopaths.
Have you been to Skinwalker?
I've been close to it. I didn't actually go to it. I have enough on my plate rather than looking for those kinds of things.
Something's going on there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's a vortex, and there's things popping in and out of it, but not all of it's good, So.
But that's my next question. Is it all negative? Is Skinwalker all negative?
Well, I know some people that were working with it. I know Tom Dongo was a friend of mine that was working with it a while ago, and he had both things going on. He saw some cool things happening, but some pretty negative things as well. And I think a lot of it is the consciousness that you bring there is going to. They always say the consciousness in which you seek is the consciousness in which you experience. So you're going to magnetize people and events to you according to that consciousness. And some areas already have weird stuff going on, so it's with or without you that's going on. But a lot of it depends on who's there, what they will experience.
Have you up at your ranch? And I know it's all positive vibes. It is. That's what you project out, and some of it can be jovial and fun. Have you had a bad experience up there? So have you or somebody else attracted the wrong side?
Well, basically, that's what we do there is we clear that up, and we have people coming there that have made mistakes, and they have connections or contracts they've made or agreements, and they'll come for counseling, and we take care of that and clear that energy up and hook them up with the more benevolent ones.
So no bad experiences?
Well, I don't want to say bad experiences because I know how to deal with them. I've been highly trained in dealing with these energies.
Right.
And so it's they're there, but when I bring in the other energies, they back down very fast and back out and they're gone. So we constantly keep the energy there clear and make sure that things don't come in. And especially when I'm there, I stay right on top of it, and I'm constantly clearing the land and making sure things are of the highest integrity, holding the highest energies.
Has there ever, up at your ranch, because of all the sightings that are up there, has there been any close encounters of third or fourth kind?
Oh, God, many. Yeah, very many. A lot of people have had face-to-face contact and have actually been up on the ships and had...
I can't let you get away being that general. So, pick one of the best examples of it and tell us what happened.
Well, people have come out of their tent and had a ship or beings, standing right in front of their tent, and they've experienced some very tall beings standing there, and some very short little guys, running around. So we have other things going on there too. We have the nature spirits are there as well.
Right.
So we have a lot of that going on because it is a dimensional thing.
Right. Hokkaido, this is coming in from Japan, wants me to ask you this. Can you ask James about how do we have a better chance to see or contact these beings, such as meditation or specific meditation? What would somebody do on an individual basis?
Well, from Japan there, that we have a Japan part. It's called ECETI, and it's run by Greg Sullivan. And he can go to ECETI, and they have groups going out all the time and doing sky watches and doing the meditation techniques and things like that. So that would be a quick way to do it. or just go out if you've got clear skies out there. Go out and if there's not a lot of light pollution and things like that, and just meditate. And what I do is if you focus on love and joy and bliss, and send it out to them with the intention of having a contact, sooner or later you're going to manifest that. You're going to draw that to you.
Right. And now, what about when it comes to Bigfoot and ECETI? There's something going on there too. And I've had a couple of guests on the show over the last year that have had their own Bigfoot sightings up at your ranch too as well. Personal Bigfoot sightings on your ranch. What is going on with that?
Oh, they come and check us out. They're attracted to the energy, and they're very shy. They're very benevolent. They're kind of funny too, actually, some of the stuff they do. But we just had Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis was up at the ranch, which was quite interesting. And he came out of the pyramid building there, where we have some rooms, and they were staying in those rooms. And he came out of the pyramid building, and this kind of a juvenile Bigfoot, a small one, came running up right in front of him and hit the brakes and skidded, looked right at him, and then turned around and ran the other way. And he couldn't have been more than maybe 15, 20 feet away from this.
Oh, was that when he was drinking coffee in the morning?
Yeah, I think it was.
He was on the show. He came on the show and told us about it.
Yeah. And it was pretty hilarious. And that night he saw so many ships, and he brought an engineer with all the technology to say, okay, we're going to either prove or disprove this. The ships are here, and so they had all the access to the satellites and everything. Every time the guy go, nope, not a satellite, and so he saw some amazing UFOs while he was there. And then on top of that, he got to top it off with this Bigfoot playing a little trick on him.
He said, this is how he described it to me. Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
You were there. Did you see, he described him as a teen wolf, actually. That's what he's, did you see baby Bigfoot that day? Or
I saw the very tail end of it. I came around right at the end of it, and I saw him going off through the trees, now, this is the weird thing, that after he did that, he took off down this trail, and this trail is very overgrown with apple trees and branches almost weaving into each other. And those branches did not even move. He went through them, and they didn't move.
What do you mean?
The branches. He went through these branches, and that's what everybody's blown away. Like, how do you get through that without pushing these branches aside?
I see. Because you would hear the branches, you would see the branches. There was no way to go through them without disturbance.
Exactly. And so I've seen them actually dematerialize, basically, fade out right in front of me. And I've seen them, appear and reappear. They have those abilities. And a lot of them aren't quite fully in this dimension. They can kind of seem to go back and forth. They have that ability.
Is there? Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
Well, I've had several sightings, and I saw a female 50 feet away, and she was 7 foot plus, and she walked by me and just looked right at me and smiled and nodded and just kept going, and then she didn't even make it to the forest, and she just vanished.
Why? Do you think is there an ET connection here?
I believe there is. I think there's several things going on with Bigfoot. And I know a lot of the Native American elders, I'm in touch with a lot of them. They come out and do a lot of ceremony at the ranch because the energies there are very healing. But, from their stories and from what I've experienced, and we actually gathered some hair from one that looked like it fell or got hit by something really hard, and it put a crease in it. And when we had the hair analyzed, it was 3.5 feet long, and it was perfectly hollow, and it was silicone base with other materials in there. And when we had we had a forensic and a guy and a fiber specialist check it out, and they said, "What is this, alien or something?" They could not figure out where it came from or what it was, and they said, "We can't manufacture this now. They couldn't understand what it was." So my feeling is that some of the ETs use Bigfoot, as the big bad dog, in sensitive areas to keep people out of that area if they're doing some work there. and then there's one that's more human, that's very human. That's the ones that we see at the ranch. And there seems to be a more primitive Bigfoot as well that is a little more primitive, and a little more aggressive, you might say.
All about the same size? And do you think they're the same, maybe the same family or the same group, or are they coming, because your ranch is large, the area is large, it's very remote. So are they coming from different directions and maybe different little family packs, or do you think it's one family?
Yeah, there's a whole tribe up there where we are, and it's pretty big. It's a pretty big tribe, and people, I've seen a really old silver-haired one, very gray or silver-haired one, and he had a couple sidekicks, younger ones walking with him. And when you meditate on these beings, if you are a certain level of consciousness, you can actually communicate with them, and they are very wise. They're very wise, very sensitive, very loving beings.
Yeah, Clyde said, he was sitting there drinking his coffee, right? And there was like a side door to the cabin, if I'm describing it right. And he said it was in the morning, and he looks out, and he looks eyeball to eyeball, with baby Bigfoot. I'm sorry, I can't think of a better description. But he said he looked eyeball to eyeball, and he panicked, and stood up. There's Bigfoot, and but he made a connection, and they were definitely aware of each other. And by the time they got outside, he was running down. Now, this was what the interesting description from Clyde was. He had long hair, but nothing on its face, a clean face, no hair on his face, but obviously not wearing clothes, and was very young looking and looked like he was maybe a teenager.
Yeah, he was. We were calling him like a juvenile Bigfoot or whatever. But I just got the tail end of him running off on that one. But I came right when, and there's two other people there too that at the time and they were checking out the track and that he left and everything. Yeah,
have you done any plaster casts?
No, I haven't. It's like, it's kind of interesting with me. It's I've had my experiences, and that's good for me. I'm not really into proving it, and I kind of feel people need to leave them alone. It's in our neck of the woods, there's actually laws against, if you shoot one, you go to jail and you're charged with murder, basically. But that's my feeling of it. And seeing them, I just go, people just need to leave them alone, and we're totally destroying their habitat and logging areas that are very sensitive where they live, and they've done some reprisals up on the Native American land. They actually took out ran the loggers out of there that were coming into an area they didn't want them to be in.
You would not be surprised if you get back to your ranch, you're back from Hawaii, you look outside the window, and right there's you're not going to go into freak out mode. It is just something that happens.
Yeah. I mean, what I found out is in my own near-death experience, I experienced the source itself. And after that, there's not too much, that can top that experience. And so when I see these other things, I go, oh, that's interesting. That's, and I don't react with fear, but I do stand my ground and find out why they're there and what they're doing. And I notice a lot of times if you greet something with love, they return it back. If you greet it with fear and aggression, you're going to get that back. And that's just kind of the way of the universe.
Yeah, well, what would freak you out? I mean, with what would make you freak out? You've had all of the contacts and everything that you have done, and the communication and everything, and summoning or communicating. Summoning's the wrong word, but you know where I'm going with this, which appears to be almost second nature in your life. What would freak James Gilliland out?
Well, that's a tough one. I don't know. I think what freaks me out most is our own government and the toys that they have and how they're dealing with people that are having contacts and things like that. I mean, that's not, it doesn't really freak me out. I'm kind of disgusted with it, and it's sad. It's basically these people have taken oaths, to serve and protect the people and the Constitution, things like that, and they're driving around in black helicopters and zapping people with all kinds of psychotronics and weird things and spraying you with chemtrails and biologicals. And, you see all this nonsense, and that stuff there, it doesn't really freak me out, but I'm pretty disgusted with it because it's just, again, it's not human. They're doing inhuman acts, and whoever's doing this is about the lowest level of consciousness you can get.
Is there something you would do for disclosure? If you had a blank slate, would you have a plan to achieve it?
Well, they've all been to the ranch. All the disclosure people have been to the ranch, and we've had Alfred Weber and Michael Solis and all those guys have come up to the ranch. And I've seen they're fully aware of the ships and the activity here. But what I feel about it, I think it is necessary to do that, to put the information out. But I think we need to do it more on an educational basis, of educating the people that they are here, they've always been here, and forget about the government. I mean, they've lied to us for 60 years. Why would we expect them to all of a sudden tell us the truth? And whatever they do tell us, if they ever do come out, it'll probably be twisted to meet their own agenda. And I don't know why we're giving them all this power to we have to get their acceptance and approval for the obvious of what most already know is true. Why do we even give them all that power? I don't understand. There's no, it's like, it sounds tacky, but it's just, asking a liar to tell you the truth and expecting whatever they tell you to be the truth, and a repeated liar, a pathological liar. Why do we even go there? Why do we give them that power? I saw a thing in Texas where they had this beautiful ship flying all over Texas. People are filming it and taking pictures and videos of it. They did a poll in Texas, and 99% of the people said they do believe in extraterrestrial life. So the cover-up's over. I mean, it's ridiculous to even try to continue down that road. And I think, in the interest of national security, we need to start talking about this and bringing this out and restore the faith in government and say, yeah, they're here. They've always been here. We've been doing the best we can with it. But, now it's time to tell the people what's really going on and restore a little more faith in the government.
I've got about 20 questions here lined up in Twitter. I'm going to start top to bottom, and we'll just bang them out real quick. You ready? First one. Well, I already know the answer, but this is from Beverly. She says, ask James how he feels about Bigfoot hunters.
I think they're psychopaths. They're humans. They're hunting humans. I mean, how more twisted can you get than that? Especially if you're going out there with rifles and things like that. But if you're out there chasing them too, just to get a film or a video of them, I mean, that's just Hollywood. These beings are so sensitive and so awake. The Native Americans say that, if you want to find Bigfoot and go up searching, you'll never find Bigfoot. But if Bigfoot wants to find you, it will. And so if you go up there and you're meditating and you're sending the intent out to have an experience, and you're working on a more spiritual level, and they sense your energy, they know what you're all about. Go up there with some peanut butter and banana sandwiches, and some fruit, in the area where they are, and place it out for them, make friends with them instead of this other nonsense. But I mean, all that other stuff is just Hollywood hype. But I mean, going after one with a gun, that's crazy. That's just insane.
Have you ever fed a Bigfoot? What makes you say banana and peanut butter?
Yeah, we make sandwiches for them and put fruit out for them.
All right. Okay. I think I'm part Bigfoot or Elvis, one of the two. This is from Raspberries. She says, Jimmy, please ask James, what is a glowing ball of light with a tail? What is its purpose, and why would somebody see this?
Well, I wish I knew what color it was.
Okay, Raspberry, what color? Hit me with that, and we'll come back to your question. This is from Mark. Jimmy, please ask James who he thinks the orbs are. I'm watching an amazing footage of orbs. He's obviously on your site.
Yeah.
That are interacting with people at his ranch.
Yeah, the orb phenomena is so diverse, because some of the orbs that we've actually blown pictures up, and you'll see a bear face or an animal face in the orb, and it's the spirit of a bear that's just discarnate. It's still cruising around. We've seen human faces in them. We've seen faces that look like ETs or like Merlin or masters, bearded masters in these faces. A lot of the big golden orbs that people see are really high dimensional beings. They're very advanced beings. There are some kind of dirty orange ones you want to avoid, because they're low level entities. They're not, if they're real murky and dirty energy, you just want to go. But if they're the bright blue ones or turquoise or those are all higher dimensional beings, and they can communicate with you.
I had a caller about a year ago on the show that described something to me I had never quite heard it like this. I'm going to throw this out at you. His sighting, and he was in the military at the time. I think he was in military police. He's on patrol with a partner, and he sees in an urban setting. I don't know if it was like a downtown setting, but certainly buildings were around. And he sees this orb, and the orb was about 4 to 5 feet. And Randy, if you're listening right now and you want to call in and talk to James about this, I would love it. Was this orb that came cruising up the street next to this building, right up to them, and they could see inside the orb a being controlling it, like with an aircraft stick, not a steering wheel. He had like a stick in his hand. Have you ever witnessed anything like that? Oh
yeah, constantly. Those are ultra dimensionals or higher dimensional beings, and their technology is to the level where, if you go in the ancient Vedic scriptures, you'll hear descriptions of the ships, and some of the ships are physical, and some are pure energy, and some are Merkabahs. They're pure consciousness. And there's different types of ships. And so that sounds to me like a ship that was probably had the ability to raise its frequencies to become a light or an orb, like a light sphere, and then they travel that way, and they can travel very fast. They can go past light, beyond light speed in ships of that nature.
Right. So it was an actual craft, the orb being the craft.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and some of the crafts are organic. They're alive, and they're tied to the DNA of the pilot.
Okay, Raspberry just got back to me. She says about the color, it was very bright with swirling orange and yellow. It also illuminated the area. It moved very slow right above my head.
Yeah. That sounds like, I should have asked how big it was too, because that would help me understand it. But that sounds like definitely one of the higher dimensional beings. And I know that, some of these ETs can actually project their spirit in a way as an orb, and go and have encounters with people and still maintain a physical body, but they go in like a spirit body, an orb, and check people out. So if it was, those colors are very bright, as I'm sure it was a benevolent contact.
So funny. I just told you that story about Randy, and he is listening. He's up in Alaska right now, and he just tweeted he was on patrol with a sergeant in Issaquah, Issaquah. And I'm thinking that's up in Washington. Now, now I'm getting a bunch of questions about colors. Okay, now that we're on the color subject, what is it about this? What's the significance? This is from Rick, who is also up near you. Well, not right now. You're in Hawaii. But he says, what is the significance of the color blue and UFOs?
Yeah, blue is, and a lot of them are kind of electric blue or almost turquoise, and some are just more of a purple blue. There's different ones. But I know we've seen ships we've seen blue ships, purple ships, green ships, pink ships, every color you can imagine, and every size, up to giant triangles to pyramid ships and cylinders, all different types. And I think the colors kind of represent the frequency that they're operating on. That different ships operate on different frequencies. And I know when you study in the ancient practices, you'll find out that all the colors have they all have different, what do you call it, attributes to them. And so blue would be love and wisdom. Turquoise would be a combination of blue and green, which green would be healing. So you'd have love and wisdom or healing. Purple is a very high attainment. It's a very high energy. Orange is like earth energy. It's real strong energy. It's the orange and reds. So all the colors have different attributes that come with them.
And what about red orbs? That one just came in.
Yeah. Depends on what kind they are. I mean, I've seen some murky red ones, which aren't really that good. And I've seen some bright red ones, and those are almost like warrior spirits showing up.
Is there one you should be maybe alarmed about? And what about the colored orbs that are in your room? You're alone. Yeah. And is that something that you need to worry about, or...
No, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd just, have a conversation with them. They're intelligent. They carry intelligence and they have information, and they're probably there for a reason. They're trying to impart some wisdom or information to you.
I've only photographed one orb, and it was on accident on New Year's Eve this year with somebody that you know. Well, you know what? I already said it on the air, so I'll say it again. Steve Murillo was here, and his wife. And so we're sitting at the dinner table. We're getting ready, for dinner. It's New Year's Eve. We've got about 10 people over at the house. And I'm at the head of the table, and I'm taking multiple shots, with my camera. No big deal. Nothing, no big deal. And I go and I look at the pictures later, and out of all everything's fine. It's a nice digital nothing. There's, it's inside of a house. There's no dust. There's no orbs or anything. But this one shot of Steve about... I'm going to say 6 inches in front of his face is this blue-gray orb, and it's three-dimensional. This is out in front of him. This isn't something, and it's about maybe 8 inches in diameter.
Yeah.
As he's telling this story. James, I've never photographed one before.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, I'm looking, and you can see it. It had shape, and it wasn't quite round. It was round, but it kind of had a little texture to it. And
it had geometric pattern in it.
Yes. Yeah. Now, how do you know that?
I know what those are. Yeah, those are usually Pleiadian. He's being inspired by the Pleiadians to tell that story or talk about something or whatever, and they're there, trying to inspire, people to. To talk about these things and to bring the higher consciousness in.
You're absolutely right. I can't believe you're saying that, because he was probably, if my memory serves, he was telling one of his animated Steve Murillo, sighting stories.
Yeah.
And which we were all sitting around the table, telling that night. And wow. What are the lottery numbers I need to pick this week, James?
I don't know.
This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network. I am your host, Jimmy Church. We are, of course, talking with James Gilliland. And I would like to take some phone calls. You want to take some phone calls?
Sure.
And I've been ignoring phone calls all night. Now I will pick up. The phone lines are open, 323-825-5045. You can Skype in too, Fade to Black 14, Fade to Black, and the number 14. Now, this question just came in, and I think you touched upon it, but it came in again, so I think they want clarification. Is there a color of orb that we should actually be worried about?
I wouldn't really worry about any of them, but I would learn how to heal unseen negative influences and to work with that. And we give that. Actually, I've written that in both books, Reunion with Source and Becoming Gods. All the techniques are in there on how to clear these energies out. And, fear actually gives them power. You don't want to go into fear, because then they can drop you into their frequency and start messing with you. But, you should just laugh at them, and know you're connected. Make your own personal connection with Creator, Spirit, whatever you want to call it, and call that into the situation and tell it to leave,
Yeah. Well, so are they, I guess the word that is, are they intelligent, or maybe a lesser of an intelligence? Yeah. Oh, man, I didn't just do that. Who's calling?
Who do you think?
I don't. I just.
Tammy.
I just disconnected James. So just hang on for a second. Hang on. I can't believe I just did that. Hey, Hey, Tammy.
I'm going to let you go.
Hang on for a second. I have him on hold. He's on hold. Just stay with me. James, are you there? James, are you there? James? Oh, okay. Hang on, everybody. I've got to reset. Everybody just hold on. I can't believe I just did this. Oh, man. Okay, I may have to clear out and start over. Okay?
Talk to you soon,
Okay,
Jimmy.
just call me right back. Oh, here he is. I got him. James, are you there? I've got him. James.
Yeah.
I disconnected you.
That's all right.
Okay. Say hi to Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi, James. Hey, I got a question for you, James, but I want to tease Jimmy, too. Last night, one of my rabbits got out of her cage, and I had to track her down. But I love the stars. I'm always looking up since I was a little kid with my dad. And there were like these, Mark called them like a heat wave blob going just about maybe around the stars, like 10 feet around the stars, slow.
Yeah.
And there was no fires going last night. What is that?
Oh, I've seen those. A lot of those things are, some of those ships are transparent almost. And when they go over the stars, they look like a heat wave. You can actually
exactly.
You can see through them. And I've seen others that they seem to be able to cloak the stars above them on the bottom of the ship. And I've seen them do that as well.
I actually have one that allows us to see it, and he'll flash.
Yeah.
And every time he flashes, it's like, God, I wish I could talk to him. But every time he flashes, I feel better.
Yeah, there's an interaction that happens. And, the reason you're looking at the stars all the time is because you're connected to them. And I'm sure you've had past lives, with these higher dimensional beings or other civilizations. And most people that have a real affinity to, looking for the stars, or they doodle triangles and things like that, that's because you're connected to those civilizations.
All right. And Jimmy.
Yes, ma'am.
Les may have said 6 times in 6 seconds last night, but the first 5 minutes you said it a lot.
Yeah, it was 1:30 in the morning. What's a man to do? Thank you so much.
I know.
Thank you so much. All right, Tammy. James, what about communication like that? Can you do something like ask a question and maybe blink once for yes and twice for no? Does it ever go that far?
Yeah, I've had people, we'll shoot a laser up at them, and we'll blink a laser twice, and they'll blink back twice, and we'll do it 3 times. And the movie Contact has begun. It's on Netflix, actually, if people want to get it. But we've actually.
Hey, James, hold on. Victoria, turn your radio down.
Is it down now?
Okay, there you go. Sorry about that, James. Victoria, say hi to James.
Hi, James, and hi, Jimmy. Really like the show tonight. Hey, I've got a suggestion. I thought maybe we should have a Fade or Not gathering at the ECETI Ranch sometime this summer.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, James, the audience here, they're called the Fade or Nots, right? Fade to Black, Fade or Nots, like astronaut. And it's large. It's a large family. I don't know if you could have like fader stock up there. Would you allow something like that?
Yeah, why not? You never know.
Okay.
We do have a gathering the 4th of July weekend, and we have some wonderful speakers coming up on the 4th of July weekend, and we have sometimes 300 people there. So that would be a good event if people wanted to come up and check that one out.
That would be great. Hey, Victoria, did you have a question for James?
Yeah, I was wondering, James, if you could talk about about people that have experienced some healings there on the ranch when they come.
Oh yeah, there's been quite a few. I really like one guy came up there, and he was quite an interesting guy. He was a scientist and a Mormon and a school. Oh God, he was the what's the top guy in the school system that would superintendent, or what do you call him? I guess superintendent, or whatever. And he came up to the ranch, and he came up with his woo-woo sisters, is what he called them, who were into all this stuff, and he wasn't into any of it at all. You know, very skeptical at first. And he came up to the ranch, and then next thing you know, he saw the orbs, and he couldn't wrap his head around it, and he saw them flying in real time. We were actually videotaping them through night vision, you know, in real time, and he couldn't figure that one out. And then a big triangle ship came up and flew right over him, and that one pushed him over the edge. And he had a broken wrist, and I think it was from a motorcycle accident, and he just broke it, and he couldn't even touch it. It was very sensitive, and so when I left, he was sitting out there just kind of unwinding, trying to make sense of all this. And I said, you know, they do have some pretty incredible healing abilities. I said, why don't you just put your wrist up and ask them for some help while you're out here? And so he didn't say anything, and I left. And so he was the only one out there, and finally he did. And he woke up in the morning, and his wrist was completely healed, and he had it X-rayed. There was no crack or anything there. It was pretty amazing. But we've also had people with tumors just disappear, and just a lot of amazing healings have happened up there. But I always tell people it's between them and spirit what happens. And when they're in the field of dreams where all these neat things happen, people will do focus walks or intention walks where they focus on I've always been whole and healthy, and they walk the field, and a lot of them just walk right out of their diseases.
Thank you for the call, Victoria. Great question.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to James.
Hello, James.
Hello.
Hey, I'd like to order 2 large for carryout. Oh, sorry. Hey, Jimmy, this is RJ from the Arctic. And
Randy, thank you for calling in. Hey, James, this is Randy, who had the sighting of the orb with the being inside of it. Randy, I hope I gave your story justice, but
you did. That's why I called.
Oh, you just wanted to say that I did a good job?
I want to say you did a bad job, but that's. Anyway, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version if you want it.
And I'm sure James has a question for you too, as well.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
I was wondering how big it was.
Well, how big? How big around was it?
Well, let me just give you the quick rundown here, because this, and you're familiar, James, with the city of Issaquah. That's where this occurred.
Yes.
1989. Okay, I was a patrol sergeant for the city of Issaquah, and myself and another officer responded to a burglary alarm out at Gilman Village. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
But it's a really nice little shopping center there by the center of town in Issaquah. And basically we were there, and everything checked out. The building was open, as John reminded me. I had the other officer that was with me was John. And basically the door was open when he got there, but the owner refused to respond. We did a check. Everything looked fine. It just appeared to have been left ajar, and the wind probably opened it or whatever. But so we're standing out in the parking lot talking, and off to my left, while I'm looking at John, my peripheral vision, I catch a small orb about the size of a cantaloupe, and it was just like it was 3-dimensional, and it was a soft white glow to it. And this orb floated beneath the eave of the building, got to the end of the building, made a perfect left-hand turn, went across the back or front of the building. I'm not sure which, the side of the building it was. But anyway, it went along the side of the building, and when it got to the other end of the building, it went into an envelope. It just disappeared. Wow. Now, we were stunned at that, but about 4 or 5, probably about 3 to 4 minutes later, we're still talking, mostly about that orb. And basically an orb about 3 to 4 feet in diameter, floating about a foot off the ground, moved along the same path, except it was a foot off the ground this time. And it got to the corner, and as it made the same left-hand turn, I observed let's just call it a figure of a being of some kind, walking upright. And it was, I couldn't tell you what color its skin. All it was a shadow. Let's just call it a shadow inside this ball. And the thing that struck me was that its little hands were facing backwards as it walked and moved its arms. It was like it was walking inside this ball. And it did the same thing, went around that corner, went to the end of the building, and just disappeared. And we were stunned for probably 5 minutes. I couldn't say nothing. It was absolutely screwy. It was just crazy. And, for years, and then basically John looked at me and said, I'm never talking about this. He did not until I recontacted him after doing another paranormal show, and we had never discussed it. He never talked about it, and he left the department before I had a chance to corner him. And this was actually probably about 2 years after the fact. And I just lost contact with him. Well, I find him again after I did this show and this paranormal program, and I had him give me detailed information as to what he saw, and it was exactly the same thing. He saw the little critter inside, and just verified everything. And I felt pretty relieved after that. And quite frankly, I'm arranging right now to have to go through a regression session with a hypnotist to see if I can dig out more details. And that's what I had. That's my story.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about the regression after you do that, because there might have been more that happened, because some people have missing time and all kinds of other things around that. And I've had these little guys, small little guys that are orange colored. I was out doing a burn pile once, and I looked over, and I just felt a presence looking at me, and I kept looking at it, and I started to walk to it, and it stood up, and it was a small little guy, and he was actually orange colored. And it was like Star Trek. He just started glowing brighter and brighter and just vanished and just disappeared. And who knows, it might have been the same group, but I'm not sure who those guys are, but I've seen something very similar.
Yeah, it's interesting. And, Art Bell talked about this on his show. I sent him a story, he read it a couple times, and I never really gave it much credence at the time or credit, but he had some folks on there the second time he read it who said what I observed was most likely interdimensional travelers. At the time I said, oh, baloney. I didn't even have any clue what he was talking about. But now, in my opinion, that's probably, it makes more sense than anything.
Well, what might make sense to you is that in physics, the particles are much smaller. The higher you go up in the dimension, the smaller the particles. And so although that looked like a really small ship, if you were to go inside of it, it might be just massive. It's like a whole, it might be a whole other dimension. Yeah. And that's happened to a lot of people. They'll see a little ball and they'll walk into it, and it might be 6 feet or so, and they walk into it, and all of a sudden it just goes into a whole different world almost.
Thank you so much for calling, Randy. That was just amazing. Are you up in Alaska right now?
Yes, I am.
Are you in? I
think it's warmed up. It's about. It warmed up. It's now about 67 below. My truck is now running, so I'm doing good.
Are you in uniform?
I do wear a uniform up here, but it's not law enforcement. It's a private industry for big. Just for a big company that rhymes with PB.
Okay, well that's. James, the photographs that I've seen of Randy, he's just all bulletproof vest, in uniform, very, very intimidating looking. Randy, you're a great guy. Thank you for calling in.
You bet, Jimmy. Good luck with this new thing. I'm loving it. So.
I'm loving it too. Thank you so much, Randy.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Randy was one of our first callers way, way back in the day, James, and shared that story with us. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to James Gilliland. Who's calling? Say hi to James. You're live. 3, 2, 1. I hate to do this. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to James. And we're going to say one more time. Oh, I hate. Okay, hold on. Here we go. I'm going to try this one more time. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to James.
Hi, Jimmy. It's Dino.
Hey, Dino. How are you? Say hi to James.
Hi, James. Thank you for coming to our electronic gathering. We have a lot of questions, but you sound very relaxed. and you sound like this is something that's common to you. However, many of our new listeners and many people out in the world who would like to see a full disclosure are, very reticent about this, saying, "Oh, no one's going to ever admit the truth." What can you do short of inviting people up to your ranch? My dad was in the cattle business, and you could go up to a ranch and experience a lot of stuff, especially if you're a dude. So what would you say that we should do, in your opinion, for all the dudes who don't believe in the extraterrestrial and all the alternative others that are here?
Well, with me, my own experiences, I'm really not here to prove anything to anybody. I just offer the experience, and if they want to partake of it, they can. I've had people come up and demand that I prove it to them, and I just said, I had one UFO investigator that came up and he said, "If you're not real, I'm going to debunk you." And I started laughing, and he said, "What's so funny?" And I said, "It's not between me and you, it's between you and them." And I said, I would get a chair and go sit out in the field and make your peace with him, and I just closed the door on him.
Right.
This guy drove several hundred miles to get there, and he just couldn't believe that I actually closed the door on him and went about eating my lunch. But he did. He pulled a chair out and he sat in the field and he said, "If you guys are for real, I'll be your staunchest ally." And 2 ships powered up and flew right over him. So.
Right, exactly. Hey, Dino, thanks for the phone call, brother.
Ask him one more thing, Jimmy, though, if I may.
Sure.
We ask a lot of our guests because many of us are concerned about being shadowed or having men in black visit us.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anybody harass you because you are so open and you have these experiences?
Boy, that's a book in itself.
I know. That was my next question after we cleared out the calls. Thanks, Dino.
I've been shot at. I've had my brake lines cut. I've had my lug nuts taken off and tires passing me on the highway as I'm driving. And harassed by black helicopters. Had psychotronics used on us. And actually, I'm still recovering from... I had Laura Eisenhower on the show and Dr. Dream, and I was on my own show, and a black helicopter flew over, and it was outfitted with some weird device, like a giant metal ball, and it hit me with some kind of a microwave energy or something, and I'm still recovering from that shot, but you just keep going. It's like I have a real issue with not being able to tell the truth or not being able to express. It's a divine right, to be able to freedom of speech, whatever you want to call it, and these other people have not been our highest and best good, and I think they need to be seen for what they are and exposed. And we film their helicopters. We actually, as soon as they come over, we film them and throw it up on YouTube, which they hate. And
you think?
Yeah. So but that's kind of diminished now. I think they're finally getting over it and realizing that it's a moot point trying to stop this. But there's a long history of them using deadly force on contactees and people who've had sightings.
Exactly. Hi, Rick. Say hi to James. Rick, are you there? Rick, are you there? Let me try this. Rick, are you there? Okay. I guess we lost Rick. Let's go to the next caller. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to James.
Hi. Hey, James. How you doing?
Doing great.
Hey. I was calling. I just listened to you on YouTube sometimes. Enjoy listening to you. Just calling. Hello?
Yeah, you're live right now.
Just calling to say that I'm a big fan, first-time caller.
Thanks.
And enjoy the show.
Thank you so much. Did you have a question?
Whereabouts is his ranch at?
Great question. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's located in Trout Lake, Washington, and it's right at the base of Mount Adams. It's about the nearest big town would be Hood River, Oregon. You just go across the river and straight up the hill there on 141. Or Portland, Oregon is actually about a little over an hour away.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to James. Who's calling?
Hi, James. It's Mark Davich. How you doing, Jimmy?
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Not too bad. Hey, I got a quick, well, I don't know if it's a quick question, but the question will go quick. My question is you guys were talking just shortly ago about the possibility of beings being interdimensional or higher dimensional, and I just wanted to get my question is what does that actually mean, and wouldn't it be more proper to say that they were actually traveling between universes?
Thank you for the question. Okay, thank you, Mark.
I can take my answer off the air.
You got it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's about semantics, and somebody asked me a question. Is this like time travel? Is this between worlds?
Hello.
Hold on, you're live. Hang on.
Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
Hey, it's Cortana.
Oh, hey, Cortana. Say hi to James. Let James.
Hi, James.
I brought you in too quick. James, you were just saying interdimensional?
Yeah. Well, what's happening is that, I always tell people it's all the above, because we have our own black projects and we have those things. We have the nuts and bolts guys. We have the abduction things going on. We've got time travel. We have higher dimensional things or beings coming in from a whole nother frequency. And you could explain it as the vibrational continuum. There is a vibrational continuum, and there are worlds within worlds that the scientists are just now figuring out that there are worlds within worlds. They're just phased out. They're just out of phase from one world to the other. And some of the practices we do ancient Yigong practices and things like that. And in the practice, we actually show people phasing out. You can see right through people. A lot of monks and lamas can do that as well. And that's just moving your frequencies up to where you actually go into another world that's actually physical to that new frequency that you're operating on.
And I guess that could also possibly explain when you see a craft appear and disappear very quickly. It's not that they are invisible. They're actually still there. They're at a different vibration and something that is parallel to us, and they just blipped in and blipped out.
Yeah, and they pop in and out. They have their own little wormhole technology, and they can pop in and out whenever they want.
It could also be accidental.
Yeah.
No, I'm being serious. They didn't mean to do it, and maybe, whoops, and flip the switch and get back out.
Yeah, somebody forgot to flip the cloak switch.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Hi, Cortana. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. I am cooking bacon for dinner right now.
Yeah,
but
right.
I turned off the stove, so.
Okay.
Okay, so almost everything that James has said is entirely familiar to me. It's mostly where do I begin as far as my life goes? But what I really wanted to ask, and what if I wanted more information on, was this council and this female who's 400 years old but looks like she's 25, because I think I've seen her too, or I've seen this council too, and that's a very interesting story in itself, at least the most recent instance. Does he have an answer for that?
Okay.
And I'm up here in Kirkland. I'd love to visit ECETI.
Right, yeah, you're not too far away. Yeah, there's a lot of councils. There's the Orion Council of Light. There's an Andromedan Council. There's a council which has a lot of masters, known masters that have walked the earth, as well as other beings. They're like ET looking. Some are actually blue-skinned beings on these councils. So there's a lot of different councils that people have experienced, at the ranch. They've actually gone to these councils at the ranch, and I've heard them from around the world. I've heard people have these same experiences. So there's a lot of different councils, and the plating woman that I was working with, her name's Blaji, and she's about 430 years old, and she's coming from 2 million years in the future to help us out. And very beautiful, exquisitely beautiful. But she's not alone. There are so many beings here, as part of this federation or whatever you might say. And they have different abilities. A lot of the Pleiadians are very giddy. They're very giddy and they're very loving. And there's some Pleiadian warriors that are here helping us out. And there's the Orion Council of Light beings are a little more down to earth, down to business. They're very, very powerful beings, and they initiate a lot of people and get people on track and open up your past. And I had an initiation where they returned my past lives to me, and some of them were off-world, and I have full memory of it in one of those initiations. But there's a lot of different groups out there, and I think if we just put our intention on that, and I think it's really important to keep doing these intention experiments and just fill your heart with love and joy and bliss and send it out to them and say, help us out. We need all the help we can get right now to get through these changes and get the earth restored and get back to, back on track. The earth was originally designed to be an Eden, where everything would evolve to its highest potential. And it's the byproduct of 12 different star nations that were involved in terraforming the earth. And it got hijacked and went through all these cataclysms and things like that. So there's a long history of Earth that people don't know about.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to James. Who's calling?
Hi, James. This is Frank Lupo. I've been to the ranch 2 times.
Okay, you broke up a little bit. Can you... who's calling?
Yeah, okay. My name's Frank.
Hi, Frank.
I've been to the ranch 2 times.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I met James. We hung out, and I just wanted to call and be a witness that everything James says is absolutely true. I've experienced some of these beings for myself. I've met the Bagit. Not only have I met her, but we're in contact. So I just wanted to call and, let you know that this is for real,
Oh, absolutely it is. It's still some of the most incredible video ever. Frank, thank you for the phone call.
Okay.
There you go. James, do you remember Frank?
It does sound really familiar. I think I do. Yeah, there's a lot of people, because we have like Bagit, the one he was talking about, is actually a feline being. She's very tall and beautiful being, but she's not totally human. She's part feline as well.
Hi, Rick. Say hi to James.
Hey, James. How's it going?
Going great.
Cool. Just a quick question. I'll take my answer off the air. I was wondering if there were any reports of shadow people out at the ranch, because different frequencies, and I know a lot of people believe that shadow people are actually just out of phase.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Rick actually lives up there near you, James.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have a lot of different things happening up there like that. And a lot of times if I see like the shadow type beings, I just do clearings. I clear them out and make sure, we're working with beings of a higher nature. But there's all kinds of things, that zipping around that you catch out of the corner of your eye at the ranch.
And what do you explain when it comes to shadow people? Also, the dogs, the red eyes without legs, and that kind of thing. Do you explain that when people ask you about that? Are you going interdimensional, or is it some other type of manifestation?
Well, on the astral level, which is right above our plane, it's in the 4th dimension. There's all kinds of crazy stuff like that happening, and people catch glimpses of it. And it's like the mental planes where thought manifests instantly, and some of our own thoughts we're seeing that we're creating, around us. So I've seen some of the weirdest things. I mean, I've seen cats without legs that look like cutouts, like cartoon cutouts moving. Weird things like that. And I just go, what was that? And other people saw it too, luckily. And and we have these mysterious black cats. They're much bigger than a house cat, but not quite as big as a panther or whatever. But we've had those showing up around the place, and a lot of Bigfoot activity and things like that.
Now, I'm looking at your picture, by the way, or a picture of you, and it looks to me, it's the one with your hands being raised in the air.
Oh.
Okay, now, what in the heck does it look? I mean, I know what I'm looking at. What are you holding in your left hand? That's what it appears to be.
Yeah, it's a ball of energy, and we work a lot with Qigong practices, and actually, I was doing the practice where you're actually grabbing the energy, and you can actually film it, and when it's happening. So it's there's a lot of, I have pictures on there where I'm phasing out, where you can see right through me, and somewhere I'm going, one body's leaving the other body, and my body on the ground, my eyes are open, and I had Tom Don go take a picture, and I told him, I said, okay, I'm going now, and I was on my way going out of body, and he caught me leaving the body. There's all kinds of pictures like that on the site.
Did in this, well, okay, this has probably happened many times. Can you feel that in your hand?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. It feels like butter, like almost thick. It's thick.
It's and can you control it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can control. I mean, we just did a workshop here with the group, and we went through the practices, and they felt the energy, and they said it was like butter in your hand, like it's all around your hand. It felt like almost the consistency of like butter.
Can you throw it?
Yeah, you could throw it if you wanted to.
Wow, it's amazing. An amazing picture. I wish everybody could see what I'm looking at. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to James. Who's calling?
Hi, James. Gordon Sopchak calling you from Canada. I visited the ranch once a couple of years ago. I was the crazy Canuck lumberjack. I chopped up a bunch of the lumber there by the house.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, a couple of years ago, we had the big 12/21/2012 event where we've crossed the plane of the middle of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Now, does being in a different galactic sector make any difference for these contacts? And is it something of significance for us, being in a new place in the galaxy?
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, James, can you hold off on that answer, because I don't want Gordon to hang up, okay? Really quick. Hold that answer. Gordon, what was your experience like up there? You went up there to clear wood, right?
Oh, no, I was on a motorcycle rally with a motorcycle group that was having a rally in Salem that year.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to visit on the weekend for, I guess, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I was just, I was hanging out a lot, and I needed some exercise, so I just grabbed an axe and started chopping up some firewood for him.
Okay, I see. So when you were up there, did you have an experience yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I was camping. I was motorcycle camping, and the Friday night, there was probably about, I'd say, a dozen of us that were on doing Skywatch.
Right.
And that night we saw the mass of lights on the mountainside, which would have probably been about 2/3 up the mountain and just off center, where the lights were coming across, and then you could see other activity and ships and things coming and going from there. And then at the same time, I think it was Mr. Kelly had some night vision stuff. Jim Kelly?
Uh-huh.
And he had some night vision stuff set up, so I actually saw one ship that he had zoomed in on with the night vision camera, and then I probably saw
hold on,
at least another half a dozen craft that night.
When you were looking at the close-up in the night vision, Gordon, what did you see?
It looked like basically, one of these old green monitors, like everything was in shades of green, and I was looking at a very bright green orb moving against the contrast of the stars, which were lit up as lighter green objects, more or less in the background.
Right.
And that's what but you could really see it a lot more clearly, and and then when I looked up at the sky to that sector where the equipment was focused, I couldn't see it. I just couldn't see it.
Interesting. And how did and before I let you go, how did that make you feel? That we're not alone, is the question, obviously.
I think that the biggest feeling of all was when we were in the conference center the next night, and some of those large interdimensional beings that James was talking about were coming in to our presence, and I sat in just a chair, a light chair. But as soon as I felt the presence, my mind quickly just said, "Sit straight up," and I just sat straight up like I would in a yoga position with my spinal column erect.
Right.
And the energy flow going through my body was just absolutely amazing. And it's like James is describing. It's hard to describe what you're experiencing, but what I was experiencing was an extremely high energy, but it was on such a fine level. it's like not the big crash boom of something going, oh, that was big right in front of you.
Right.
Like a truck hitting a cliff or something.
Sure.
It was like a really pure, uplifting, extremely high vibrational energy, but you had there was no doubt that energy was extremely powerful. But at the same time, that the power level goes up, the benevolence level would go up at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So it's very powerful and loving energy.
That
to me was probably more of an impact than actually watching these craft.
Sure.
But I think the highlight of watching them was one night where two of them approached each other. They were on a closing course in one sector of the sky, and then one powered up as it shot by the other one, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's saying bye to his friend, and he just hit overdrive.
Yeah, right. So, he blinked. He blinked his headlights.
Sorta, yeah, because you could see they were, they were on a vectoring passing path, eh? And one of them just powered up as soon as he got past the other one, and boy, he was gone. It was and then the other one just kept tracking along, and but you just look at that and you go, you know that they're intelligently controlled, and you know that their level of intelligence is so far beyond what we're doing.
Sure, and your testimony is so extraordinary, and I know James is sitting there going, yeah, okay, that was on Tuesday.
Well, it was actually Saturday night.
You know what I mean?
That was the night that, remember, the big tour bus came in with all the people, and the bus driver cut the corner too sharp, and they had to get their neighbor to pull them up. Remember that night?
Yeah, I do, actually. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was the evening. And again, the same situation occurred on Saturday night. There were all these people coming over, and it was more of party atmosphere, and this is cool, and a lot of them were like, oh, do you think we'll see anything? And I'm just like, you think you'll see anything? And I'm thinking about what happened to me 24 hours previous.
Right.
Watching the gates open up on the mountain and watching all the flyby activity and, looking in Jim's high-resolution night vision stuff, seeing craft that he'd located in another sector. And I'm not thinking you think you'll see anything. Only if you shut up and look.
Yeah, right. And what's James doing? Is he off like cooking hamburgers over to the side? He knows that he
was closed that night, but he was sitting in the middle of our group with some lasers.
Yeah,
so he was pointing out different sectors and said, okay, this is this star group, so if somebody sees one over there, that's where everybody needs to look.
Right.
So that's what he was doing on the Friday night.
That is just.
And then the Saturday night, it was the conference, and then
okay,
far less activities.
Hey, Gordon,
anyway,
remind James of your question.
Sorry. The question being, 2 years ago, we passed the planetary or the central axis of the galaxy, right? When we aligned at midnight with the middle of the galaxy, and then there was the solar path or the zenith passage of the sun the same day, right?
Right.
But that was the significant point where we crossed the middle of the galaxy. We went from one side of the plane of the galaxy to the other side of the plane of the galaxy.
That's
right. And my question is that significant that we're in a new sector of the galaxy? Can we expect more activity? Can we expect different activity? What can we expect? Is it a non-factor because these guys are so powerful with their dimensional travel?
Thank you so much for the call, Gordon. Have a great night.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, there's definitely, moving up to galactic plane, everything shifted. And the energies just kept building and getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And now that we're actually moving to a whole new place in the universe where there's a lot more energy. And, the sun is reacting to this. We're getting a lot more solar flares and solar storms. All of this is affecting Earth. The Earth is expanding with all this energy and having crazy weather patterns, and it's actually affecting people's bioelectric fields around their bodies and throwing people into process. So yeah, that's just going to keep increasing exponentially. And the more we move up in frequency, which is what is happening, the whole Earth is going through a transition, or what you might call an ascension process. The veils between worlds become thinner and thinner, and we're going to start seeing a lot of these craft coming in and saying hi to us.
Say hi to James.
Hello, James.
Hi, Bear. How are you? How are you, Bear? Say hi to James, man.
Hi, James.
How
you doing, bro?
Doing great.
Hey, I've seen a Bigfoot. In fact, I've seen two of them at the same time.
Nice.
Where'd you see him at, Bear?
Well, I told you a story before. They were up above 80, above Placerville, actually up by Desolation. It was in the forest, and there was a big pond, and there were two male Bigfoots, and they were throwing great big gigantic rocks into the pond to kind of scare us off, because I was a scoutmaster and I had a bunch of scouts with me at the time, so we got out of there. But they were male. They're about 8 feet tall, and probably a good 400 to 600 pounds in weight.
Do you think that's what they were doing, James? Do you think they were intentionally going, you know what, we don't want you hanging out here, and that was their way of trying to scare them off? And I'm sure it worked, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah,
it worked, and it was like they were saying, hey, you're like getting too close to our territory, back off.
Sure.
Yeah, they might have had family there. They might have had kids and family there and things like that. And they do will say, hey, this is our space, our territory. You need to move out of here or whatever. And they are territorial every once in a while.
Hey, Bear, thanks for the call, brother. You're the bright spot in my day.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, well, it took me a little while to get hooked up because everything switched around and kind of threw me off. So.
Thank you, Bear. You have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay, bro. You take it easy.
Thank you, Bear. Hey, James, I meant to ask you, and we can kind of part on this, and I've got a bunch of calls lined up, but everybody, I'm sorry, we just don't have time to take the rest of the calls. But James, how does all of this experience and contact, actually, I have two questions that I have to get in and wrap things up. One, I want to ask about religion and how this has affected, or has it affected your belief?
Oh, concerning religion?
Yes.
Well, I'm not really a religious person. I'm a very spiritual person, and I see the Creator in everyone and everything, and I don't want to bind myself into any cultural or religious program. It's a bit limited for where I'm coming from, but and that's the way I look at things. That's the way the higher beings and the higher ETs look at things. They see the Creator in all creation, and us as part of creation that needs help right now, that's going through some major challenges, but they don't bind anybody into a belief or a teaching. And I think it's kind of sad too that because religions, we all came from the same place and we all return to the same place. We're all family.
Right.
Why do we need to divide ourselves and fight amongst whose truth is right? And I think that's kind of sad, and it's an old program that needs to go away.
Well, what about the different ET species that are out there? Are they religious? Do they have a God?
They do. I mean, they have a prime creator, or whatever you want to call it, a universal intelligence. They know that, I always see whenever you have an image of the image of the bearded God came from the Anunnaki. That's where we got that image from.
Right.
But we have to ask who created them. And most of our religions came from the Anunnaki experience, from different groups within the Anunnaki that people gathered around and started those religions. And so basically it's even the Greek gods were Anunnaki. They're the same group. They went over to Greece after some of their turf wars, and one became Poseidon, the other became Zeus. And so a lot of those myths and everything all come from those experiences of the Anunnaki experiences. So I understand where we got our images and where our religions came from, but I also know that I always go, well, who created them? I want to talk to that entity.
Right. Well, I ask you this because, I know about your background, but also you had said earlier that with all of your experience that you don't fear death. And you didn't allude to that. You actually said that. Is there a reason why you said that? Is it reincarnation, or is it another dimension that your soul's not going anywhere, that it is a constant?
Exactly. I know I have an eternal soul, and it's been all over the universe, and I've had a lot of different lifetimes, and some not even on this planet there on other planets as well and other civilizations. And so, I know I'm continuous, and I've made my peace with the source. I've experienced it firsthand, in my own near-death experiences. So, I'm good to go, whatever happens. And I'm just in pure service mode, trying to turn this planet around.
And one last question. When you had your first few contacts, and especially the one with the council, has that particular being that walked you into that room and the ones that you communicated with then communicated with you now as an adult? Have they come back to you and well, you just answered. Did you know it was him or her? Yes, fully. Definitely knew it was them. And this, I noticed they have a plan. It's like, and once they told me, one of the masters told me that, they said, God has a plan and God's given its best to the earth for these times, and they're being initiated and awoken. And so people are waking up and realizing it's time to get busy and get on, with this process. And these beings are just incredibly loving and extremely wise, and they know what they're doing, and they're very forgiving, and they're just here to help. And this one's been with me my whole life. And as a matter of fact, I think he had something to do with my birth as well. What are you doing next? Well, right now I'm just working with what's put in front of me, and I've been working a lot with getting information out about this total global reset and the getting the economy straightened out. And eventually, I think it's an interim process where we are going to have a whole new system come in, and eventually we'll go to a space where we don't need money at all. We won't even be using money. Most advanced civilizations don't use money. It's not part of their reality, and they live in unity consciousness, and they live abundantly, and they lack for nothing, and the whole universe is their playground. But it's a matter of getting our consciousness straightened out here on this level, and ending the greed and the tyranny, and basically liberating the planet so we can move in that direction. I want to thank you for coming on the show. I had an amazing, enlightening evening, and I can't wait to get you back on. I want to talk about your near-death experiences and dig a little bit deeper into all of that reincarnation and past lives. It's one of the most fascinating subjects out there. And also for me, the subject of deja vu. Okay. Hey, well, thanks so much for having me on the show, and keep up the great work that you're doing, and hopefully we can steer this planet and turn it around. Thank you so much, James. Have a safe travel back stateside. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. James Gilliland, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Please tweet and say thank you to James. I'm going to take a 2-minute break. I'll be back right after this. Our premiere show. That's right. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, Fade to Black. bespoke radio for the masses. How is everybody doing? Was that absolutely amazing? Thank you, James. Enlightening. And I'm looking at Twitter. You guys are going, Jimmy, you don't have to go, man. This is your network. Don't leave us. I see that. You can follow us right now on Twitter, by the way, at JChurchRadio. And the sandbox is hashtag F2B. F and the number 2B. Very simple. A lot more simple than the old days. It's just F2B. And look, all right, you know what? I'll do this. I'll give you guys 5 minutes to line up some phone calls. If you want to take some phone calls and you guys want to talk and you want to put something on the table, great. If you're as exhausted as I am after the last 24 hours that we've had here at Fade to Black, that's fine by me too. But you want to bang a couple of calls, I'll keep it. There it is. Okay, let's see who's. All right, let's do it. We can do this, I guess. We can run late. Hi, who's calling? You're live on Fade to Black.
Hey, Jimmy, this is Mark.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm great, Jimmy. We got to get a Fader Knot group up there to Trout Lake with some infrared cameras. I know you're connected for the cameras. I'm pretty sure we could do a live show out there. And, if there are 4 people in this whole group of Fader Knots that show up that are like Tammy, that can actually, I think she's a caller. I think she can just call these things. I don't have a lot of these experiences when she's not there.
Right.
But yeah. I'm just saying, if we get a collection of these people, and they're all attracted to this show for a reason.
Sure.
And we did a show out there, I think it would be dynamite.
It would be, but you know what? We'd have to behave. Mark.
I can behave.
I don't know if I can. All right, I think that's a great idea.
Well, I could drive you off campus and we could come back later.
Okay. Yeah, right. Right. Go. Yeah. Drive down the block.
Seriously.
All right. Okay. All right.
That's my 2 cents. I'd love to do it. I think it would just be a blast. I think it would be a great show, and I think we'd get some great pictures too. I really do.
All right. Give my best to Tammy, and sure enough, a bunch of calls lined up. So let me get a bunch of these in. Thank you so much, Mark.
Okay. Boom. I'm out of here. Bye.
Bye. Hi. You're live on Fade to Black. Is this Rick? How are you, Rick?
I'm doing good. You said more calls. Challenge accepted.
Okay. There you go. There you go.
Hey.
Hold on. I think who's calling?
Okay.
Who's calling?
Hi, it's Lisa.
Hi, it's Lisa. Okay, I just wanted to bring you two in at the same time. Hi, Lisa. It's Lisa and Rick and me live on the air, and it couldn't be a better day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay, so who's first?
Lisa from San Francisco?
Yeah, Skater Lisa.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Rick.
There we go. How's it going?
Okay.
Good, thanks.
Ladies first.
Okay, ladies first. Go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, I just wanted to call and congratulate you on the new show and the new site and everything. And last night or this morning was really fun and funny. And I'm just so proud to, know you and to know the show and be one of the Fader Knots and have this huge, amazing family. Of people that they're just so special.
Thank you, Lisa. And I do want to say this, and I'll say this to the Fader Knot family now. I didn't want to freak out. We did not want to freak out everybody and have the wrong impression of what's going on. The show, as you can tell, is exactly the same. There's no changes. Everything's the same. So the format's the same. Nothing is changing. It's just how you choose to listen to the show. That's all. That's it. That's the only thing that has changed. Yes, we have changed networks, and all of that was just fine. There was nothing negative. There's no bad vibes going on out there. It's just an evolutionary thing. That's all. Everything is just fine. And I knew that Fader Knots were going to wake up this morning, see the announcements, and and see Twitter, and I was watching Twitter going through 200 tweets every 15 minutes talking about this, and people had questions. I just want everybody to relax. And now that you can tell that the show is over, we got through the night, everything is okay. All right. Is that
right.
Do you feel better? Do you feel better, Lisa?
Feel better? Oh, yes. I didn't mean it was like the new show. I agree with you. It's the same wonderful show. It's always been just a new location, I guess you could say.
Exactly. So, yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for calling in, and you know that. Lisa, you've been here since the beginning.
Yes.
And it means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, Rick. Let's see here. I'm going to bring in another caller, too. And I'm bringing in somebody. You need to turn down your radio. Who's calling?
I already did. This is Barrett from Memphis. Good God.
Hey, Barrett. Hey, Rick. It's Barrett.
Hey, man. How's it going? Excellent, man. This was great.
How did the sound?
Well, I'll tell you what. I've experimented with it all night. I've done it through the external speakers that I have set up on the PC. Sounds fantastic. I Bluetoothed it over to my sound bar, and it absolutely rocks the walls. Really does.
Oh, man.
And yeah, I've done it through some Bluetooth detachables and headsets. Let me tell you something. With the headsets, I can hear you breathing.
Can you really? You can hear me breathing. That's scary.
Subtle little breath. The audio quality is fantastic.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better. That was the one thing I was I was hoping for, and I was also nervous about too. I just want the best. I want the best, And Rick, how about you up there? Everything cool audio wise?
I tried it on my my Samsung Galaxy S5. Sounded great. Even going through the speaker off my laptop. And my laptop plugged into my stereo. Everything sounds good.
Oh, man.
Just like the typical phone call stuff that'll happen, and that just depends on the person's phone connection.
Yeah, that's all that is. That has nothing to do with here. So that just I'm just relieved. And did you guys have? And remember, everybody is listening to this now. Did you guys have any connection problems, or was everything easy? Did you go through Spreaker, or did you do JimmyChurchRadio.com?
Last night, I went through the app on my phone.
Okay.
And everything was working great. With the hidden episode 0, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, right.
And, and it's funny because I just installed the app and decided, see how it works. And boom, there was, the Phantom episode of Fade to Black going on.
And how about... Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
I interrupted. Barrett, how did you connect?
Same thing. I was trying to do tests in all the ways that I could.
Thank you.
And oddly enough, believe it or not, I have an S5 too, by the way, and I had the S5 app running, and also had the app running on a tablet, and was listening to the website through Spreaker, and all 3 speakers, believe it or not, were in absolute perfect sync. I mean, there was no delay from device to medium. And then I switched over to the JimmyChurchRadio.com site. It was out of sync a little bit with the speakers, but they were all firing on all cylinders. It was quite impressive.
Oh man, that just makes me feel so good. I just want the best for everybody. I do. I don't go back and listen to the show. I don't do that. Once it's done, it's done. But I only get the feedback from you guys, and it just would frustrate me so much to hear, the complaints about sound quality. And it had nothing to do with the old network or anything. It's just, I think that what we're doing now is just a more robust platform. And I don't think we're going to have any issues with that. Klaatu just tweeted. I just saw it blow by. Hold on. Let me scroll back because I don't want to misquote him. But he said something like, he says, Oh, yeah. He says it's stereo 44.1K, 128K, basically a music stream. Such overkill for talk. Thank you, Klaatu.
Absolutely.
That's exactly spot on, man. That is exactly spot on. It may
that
be
was my first. That was my first tweet tonight. It's like somebody slapped me in stereo.
Right.
Good God.
Oh man, well we got through it, and somehow we did. Now I'll say this really quick in closing. Over the next couple of days, we should have the other alternatives out there, whether it is TalkStream Live or TuneIn. And we'll have those links up to and available. If people need it, it'll be there, and we will have that access for everybody. And, of course, iHeartRadio over the next couple of days, too. We've got to get the bugs worked out is all it is. We're ready to go. So thank you guys so much, man. It means so much to have both of you.
Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations.
Yeah, man.
Well done.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Barrett. And you guys be safe, and we'll see you tomorrow night, man.
Real quick.
Yes.
Just real quick, though, fader stock needs to happen, though.
I know. I'm telling you, but we have to behave. Yep. We have to behave.
Yeah, well, yeah, just pretend.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, exactly. We have to behave.
Love you, man.
Thank you so much, Barrett. Behave, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
Behave.
All right, Rick. Give my best to the family, man. All right, give my best, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay, cool, man. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, it's kind of cool being able to go over just because. You got to love it. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on the now Game Changer Network, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. Special thanks to James Gilliland and everybody that called in tonight. Don't forget, Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Without the producers involved, Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, and Jonas, this show does not happen. Thank you so much for all of your hard work over the last 24 hours. We pulled it off. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Pateau, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale, webmaster. I can't say enough. Method of signaling. Without you, there was no show tonight. You worked for the last 24 hours straight. Thank you so much. Music, Doug Aldridge. Again, intro by Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Without your help today, the intro did not happen. Thank you so much. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Radio Network. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Open Minds. The crew is here live all night. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Everybody be safe. See ya.